Chapter 45. Ouyang Shual walked into the barracks. The recruits were already lined up on the drill ground. He smiled apologetically and went straight to the class change room, pressing his right hand on the door. System notification. Congratulations to player not wearing for opening the barracks class change room. Intermediate barracks allow you to class change a farmer to a level 1 militia. The class change fee is 10 silver. You can also class change a level 10 militia to a rank 1 soldier. The average class change fee is 1 gold. Please select your class change method. Class change to a rank 1 soldier. System notification. Class change method confirmed. Please select the number of people to class change. 73 people. System notification. Basic commanders tally detected. 53 people remaining. Would you like to use it first? Yes. System notification. Please select the direction of the remaining 20 people. They can choose infantry, marine, or cavalry. Of these, the infantry class advancement fee is 50 silver coins. The marine class advancement fee is 100 silver coins, and the cavalry class advancement fee is 150 silver coins. I choose cavalry. System notification. Number of people to class change confirmed. Player not wearing for 30 gold deducted. After opening the class change room, the 73 militiamen entered the room in order and started the class change process. The last batch of 20 people were ordinary cavalrymen. Ouyang Shuo specially checked their attributes. Name: Steel Tiger Identity. Second Fire Soldier of the Military Intelligence Department Profession. Cavalry level. Rank 1 Combat Power. 15 points consumption. 5 units of rations/day. Includes the consumption of mounts rations, skills, basic horsemanship equipment. Ordinary warhorse, ordinary javelin, ordinary iron armor, ordinary wooden shield evaluation. This is the most basic cavalry type. In order to display their combat superiority, apart from strict training, they also need better equipment. Compared to the crossbow cavalry, the ordinary cavalry was like a stepmother. Not only did they not have the 5-point combat power bonus of the crossbow cavalry, but they also only had 1 skill, basic horsemanship. Needless to say, there was a huge difference in equipment. With such equipment, they were only at the level of the elite bandits. Fortunately, they had obtained a batch of wooden bows and iron swords from the last bandit camp. They could barely train these 20 ordinary cavalrymen into crossbow cavalry. Sure Wansway revealed that he planned to use these 2 days to train the team and officially eliminate the newly appeared intermediate bandit camp the day after tomorrow. The vacant squad leader position continued his previous practice, which was to be promoted and appointed according to the performance in this battle. Ouyang Shuo naturally had no objections. After leaving the barracks, Ouyang Shuo prepared to inspect his territory. In 3 days, most of the buildings had been completed. As the Lord, he had to recognize the door no matter what. He walked in the winemaking workshop first. The workshop manager was Du Chun, a senior winemaker recruited from the recruitment hall. Seeing Ouyang Shuo, Du Chun brought his 2 newly accepted apprentices to welcome him. He bowed and respectfully said, "Sir has personally come. This lowly one has failed to welcome you." Ouyang Shuo smiled and said, "I've been busy recently, so I've neglected Master Du. Please don't take it to heart. This lowly commoner is terrified. I dare not trouble you," Du Chun said agitatedly. "All right, there's no need to be so reserved. Is the brewery officially in operation? Are there any difficulties?" Ouyang Shuo asked directly. Du Chun said awkwardly, "I dare not hide it from you. I am ashamed, but the workshop has not officially opened yet." "Oh, why is that?" Ouyang Shuo was a little surprised. The winemaking workshop was a gift from the system when the village was upgraded to level 3. It had been 5 to 6 days since then, but it still hadn't opened yet. Because of food. On average, 3 units of food can produce 1 unit of wine. The territory is currently short on food, so we have to rely on purchasing from the external market. Therefore, the reserve department's opinion is that it's not suitable to start brewing wine for the time being. Du Chun said embarrassedly. Ouyang Shuo slapped his forehead. The reserve department's short-sightedness was giving him a headache. Ever since Chui Ingyu left, the reserve department had been making mistakes. It seemed that there was a need to reorganize this department. It was a pity that Mr. Su Zhe had declined his arrangement. He really couldn't find a suitable person to take over the reserve department. In front of Du Chun, Ouyang Shuo couldn't directly criticize the reserve department's mistakes. He changed the topic and asked, Master Du, have you heard of the Gillen three-flower wine? Sir, are you referring to the three-flower wine known as Rilu? Du Chun said with uncertainty. That's right. Master Du, do you think that the Shanghai village can brew it? Du Chun was obviously very familiar with the three-flower wine. He said confidently, as the saying goes, water is the blood in the wine, rice is the meat in the wine, and the yeast is the bone in the wine. The reason why the three-flower wine has such a unique flavor is because of its water, rice, and yeast. Fine wine must first have good spring water. The Li River, especially the underground spring water at the bottom of the Elephant Trunk Mountain, is pure and sweet without any impurities or strange odors. It contains trace minerals, which provides the three-flower wine with excellent blood in the wine. Secondly, the fine rice from the Li River Valley is plump and contains high starch content, making it the ideal meat in the wine. Lastly, the specialty yeast made from herbs has a rich aroma, which is the bone of the three-flower wine. It's said that after the three-flower wine is brewed, it has to be placed in a ceramic jar and stored in a cave. After a year or two, it will age, making the wine more mellow and fragrant. Our Shanghai village is located in the Lianzhou Basin, which is the same area as the Guilin Prefecture. Among the three conditions of water, rice, and yeast, there's no problem with the rice and yeast coming from the same source. What's more, the water of the Friendship River is so clear that you can see the bottom. All of it comes from the mountain spring, which is similar to the Li River. I believe that as long as I look carefully, I'll be able to find a mountain spring comparable to the one at the bottom of the Elephant Trunk Mountain. Lastly, the southern part of the territory is full of rocky mountains. It should be easier to find a suitable cave to store the new wine. Good. Ouyang Shuo laughed and said, Master Du is indeed a wine connoisseur. Your analysis is penetrating. Since you're confident that you can brew the famous three-flower wine in Shanghai Village, the territory will naturally give you our full support. I'll go to the primary market to buy the Guilin three-flower wine brewing technique manual. Don't worry about the food problem. I'll personally instruct the supplies division to cooperate fully. What you need to do is to find a suitable mountain spring and cave from now on. Du Chun was overjoyed. He didn't expect that he would really have the opportunity to brew the three-flower wine. He said excitedly, Thank you for your trust, sir. I won't hesitate to sacrifice my life for you. Ouyang Shuo nodded and went to the primary market. He spent 20 gold coins to buy the Guilin three-flower wine brewing technique manual. It was already noon when he returned to the winemaking workshop and handed over the manual to Du Chun. Ouyang Shuo didn't say anything else. He took his leave and returned to the Lord's mansion for lunch. At the dining table, Qing was making trouble again. She used her chopsticks to knock on the table and said with a playful smile, Dang, everyone quiet down. I have good news to announce. Shui was very fond of this girl. She cooperated and asked, What good news does our family's Qing have to announce? I'm all ears. It's really good news. In the last defensive battle, the wild dogs, wild wolves, wild boars, and wild bulls dropped a lot of perfect furs. I've been sewing them into leather armors these past few days. I didn't expect that Qing would be promoted to master tailor when I finished sewing the last piece of bison leather armor. The little girl was extremely excited and her face was full of pride. Clatter. The chopsticks in Ouyang Shuo's hand fell to the ground. He was dumbfounded as he looked at the complacent Mu Qingxi. He couldn't react for a long time. This time he was really shocked. He had thought that Qing would be promoted to master tailor one day, but he had never thought that this day would come so quickly. Sitting next to Qing, Inyu put down the chopsticks in her hand and pinched Qing's little face. She proudly said, Worthy of being our family's little monster. You really amazed the world with a single brilliant feat. She didn't forget to tease Ouyang Shuo. Look, you scared your big brother silly. Qing immediately refused. She leaned into Ying Yu's embrace and acted like a spoiled child. Big sister, how can you say that about me? What little monster? It's so unpleasant to hear. Her voice was flustered, like a child being praised by an adult. Ouyang Shuo finally reacted. He deliberately coughed and said, "That's right, Qing really gave us a big surprise this time. Heh, an 18-year-old master tailor. If this were to spread, it would probably scare people to death. In order to reward you, Big Brother promises to fulfill one of your wishes. Say it, what do you want? As long as it can be bought, Big Brother will definitely give it to you." Before Qing, who could say anything, and you already teased. Ho ho, it's rare for Big Brother to be so generous. Qing, you must think carefully. What do you want that is so damn expensive? This time, you must make Big Brother bleed a lot. Qing nodded her little head forcefully. Her eyes wandered about. No one knew what kind of wicked idea she was thinking. She looked at Ouyang Shuo with malicious intentions and sweetly said, "Big Brother, I heard that there's a legendary dark gold tailor's toolkit on the market. It's so convenient. I heard that it can even increase skill proficiency." Ouyang Shuo's eyes immediately widened. This girl really dared to ask for an exorbitant price. Although he didn't know the exact price, it was a dark gold equipment. Moreover, it was a rare artificer's equipment. Looking at the little girl dotingly, Ouyang Shuo smiled and said, "All right, I'll give you a dark gold tailoring toolkit. However, I'll say this in advance. If it's too expensive, you'll have to wait for a week. You'll have to sell the sea salt and have working capital before you can cash it in." Originally, Qing didn't hold much hope for it. She was just teasing him on purpose. She never thought that her dream would come true. The little girl immediately cheered. She stood up and ran to Ouyang Shuo's side, giving him a big hug. She giggled and said, "Thank you, Big Brother." Ouyang Shuo tapped her little head, telling her to pay attention to maintaining her ladylike image. She couldn't be too presumptuous. Chapter 46. After resting for a bit at noon, Ouyang Shuo made a beeline for the primary market. He wanted to check how much the dark gold tailor's toolkit he promised to give to Qinger cost. Entering the wooden hut, Phone clicked on the special item trading platform's other item column and searched for the tailor's toolkit. There were quite a few, ranging from the lowest bronze rank to iron rank and silver rank. Gold rank was much rarer, with less than 10 sets available. As for the dark gold toolkit that Qinger requested, there was only one. It hung alone in the search results, with no one interested. When Ouyang Shuo saw the price, his complexion paled. Heavens! It cost 120 gold coins. He had never bought such an expensive item before. It couldn't be helped. He definitely couldn't afford it now. He could only wait a week before he could sell it. Leaving the market resentfully, Ouyang Shuo prepared to continue his unfinished inspection trip. His second stop was to go to the weapons workshop. The weapons workshop was close to the barracks and was managed by the advanced blacksmith, Wang Zhuan. Unlike the intermediate smithy managed by Li Taizhu, the weapons workshop specialized in forging weapons for the military. It was not open to the public. Naturally, it was not privatized either. If one were to compare the pros and cons of the two, one could only say that each had its own merits. After the smithy was privatized, it would be responsible for its own profits and losses. With sufficient orders, the profits were very considerable. The fixed remuneration of the weapons workshop could not compare to the income. The advantages of the weapons workshop were also obvious. There was an unlimited supply of iron ore. There was no need to worry about the cost. Moreover, the weapons forged were all advanced. The increase in skill proficiency was not something a smithy could compare to. Hence, to the ambitious blacksmiths, the weapons workshop was undoubtedly more attractive. Wang Zhuan naturally belonged to the latter group. He was not old, not even 30 yet. Seeing Ouyang Shuo, he warmly welcomed him, smiling, "Sir, how come you have the time to visit the weapons workshop today?" Wang Zhuan was undoubtedly confident. Facing a lord like Ouyang Shuo, his etiquette was considerate and not overly humble, and the scale was just right. On the other hand, Lu Guangji and Du Chun were like mice meeting a cat when they saw Ouyang Shuo. Ouyang Shuo preferred such a relaxed atmosphere. Smiling, he said, I have not visited the weapons workshop since it was established. How about it? Give me an introduction. Wang Zhuan nodded his head. While showing Ouyang Shua around, he introduced, the weapons workshop has only been in operation for a few days, so the personnel aren't in place yet. I plan to recruit 4 to 5 apprentices. Firstly, they can help with the odd jobs, and secondly, they can be considered as manpower for large-scale weapon forging in the future. You're right. Compared to other workshops, the workload of the weaponry workshop will be much heavier in the future, so we must make early preparations. Ouyang Shua said with relief. It seemed that choosing Wang Zhuan to manage the weapons workshop was the right decision. Not only was this senior blacksmith skilled, but his mind was also not simple. Currently, the workshop can only forge simple weapons such as iron swords, spears, and javelins. More complicated weapons and armors require relevant technical manuals. Wang Zhuan continued. Ouyang Shua nodded. The forging techniques of weapons and armors had always been highly classified by the government. Only by working in a workshop set up by the government would one be able to grasp the relevant technology. Once they entered the official workshop, they would not be able to leave easily for the sake of confidentiality. Therefore, Ouyang Shua wasn't surprised by Wang Zhuan's technical bottleneck. He smiled and said, "This matter can't be rushed. I already have a plan. I'll have results in 2 months at most." Wang Zhuan was delighted. With your guarantee, I'm even more motivated. During this period of time, I must properly train the apprentices and make sufficient preparations. Seeing Wang Zhuan's excited look, Ouyang Shua chuckled. This guy was also a technical maniac. After visiting the weapons workshop, he didn't stay and directly left. Ouyang Shua chose Lian State Academy as his last stop. As for the elementary pottery factory, because it was built outside the village, he couldn't make it in the afternoon. He could only wait for the next time when he had time. Lian State Academy was built next to a private school. It didn't cover a large area, only comparable to the Mazu Temple. At the main entrance of the academy, there was a plaque inscribed by Fan Zhongyan. Originally, Fan Zhongyan wanted Ouyang Shua to personally inscribe the name of the academy. However, as a modern person, Ouyang Shua didn't dare to make a fool of himself, so he firmly rejected it. Most of the time, when it was time to hide one's incompetence, one had to hide it resolutely. Under Ouyang Shua's suggestion, the couplet at the entrance was chosen. It was written by Han Yu, one of the 8 great scholars of the Tang and Song dynasties. Diligence is the path to a mountain of books, and bitterness is the boat in the sea of learning. The academy was divided into 2 courtyards. The front courtyard was where students attended classes. There were a total of 4 classrooms. In the middle of the courtyard, there were a few simple bamboos planted for students to rest. In the backyard, there was a special kitchen for students to eat. In addition, there were 4 bedrooms for the academy's teachers and their families to rest. Because school hadn't started yet, the entire academy was extremely quiet. Not a single student could be seen in such a large academy. Ouyang Shua stepped into the imposing main entrance, passed through the front hall, and went straight to the backyard. Beside the small bamboo forest in the backyard, Mr. Su Zhe casually leaned against the bluestone, concentrating on reading an ancient scroll. He had a leisurely and contented appearance, and he had the demeanor of a hermit, causing Ouyang Shua to be extremely envious. Seeing that Mr. Su was engrossed in his reading, Ouyang Shua didn't rashly go forward to disturb him. He quietly stood at the side and waited. Unexpectedly, an entire 20 minutes passed, and Mr. Su didn't have the slightest intention of moving. He could only helplessly cough on purpose to remind him of his existence. Mr. Su raised his head and saw Ouyang Shua. He unhurriedly closed the book and put it to the side. He got up and tidied up his attire. Only then did he unhurriedly bow and salute. "Su Zhe greets, sir." Ouyang Shua nodded and said with a smile, "Is sir used to living in the academy?" "Thank you for the trouble, sir. Su Zhe likes it here very much. Far away from the clamor of the officialdom, being in this paradise, it's like my heart has broken free from the shackles. Far away from the fence, I've suddenly become much more at ease." Su Zhe replied with a smile. "Sir, living like a wild crane and leisurely clouds really makes one envious." Ouyang Shuo gave a small compliment, and then said, "The academy will officially start classes tomorrow. Regarding tomorrow's arrangements, I wonder what Sir thinks? With Mr. Sven's overall arrangements, it's naturally appropriate," Suze said indifferently. Ouyang Shuo nodded. It seemed that Mr. Su was determined to stay away from the officialdom. Towards his repeated probing, Mr. Su avoided all of them and wasn't moved at all. Since that was the case, after chatting for a while, Ouyang Shuo took the opportunity to leave. The next morning, Ouyang Shuo came to Lianzhou Academy again to participate in the opening ceremony of the first session. The ceremony was set up in the largest classroom in the front yard. On the rostrum, Ouyang Shuo, Fan Zhongyan, Cui Yingyu, Su Zhe, and Gu Xiuan sat in order. Below the stage, the first batch of students sat upright. Among the students, there were old students like Zhao Yufang and Zhang Dainiu, who had already graduated from the adult literacy class. There were also new students who were enrolled for the first time. Among the new students, there were mainly two types. The first type was the basic staff who had already been hired by the various departments and offices. The other type was the villagers who took the initiative to sign up after seeing the enrollment brochure. The ceremony was hosted by Fan Zhongyan. In his opening remarks, he elaborated in detail on the purpose and philosophy of running Lianzhou Academy. He clarified the various rules and regulations and management methods of the academy and emphasized the management requirements of the students. I know that most of you present here are paid students and bear heavy responsibilities. While completing your studies, you also have to do your job well. It's very tiring. However, what I want to say is the moment you step into the academy, you must forget your identity and your position. No matter who you are, no matter what your position is, as long as you come to the academy, you only have one identity. That is, an ordinary student of Lianzhou Academy. Learning is your only task in the academy. In the academy, it is strictly forbidden to form cliques, and you're not allowed to use your position to order other students around. You must learn to respect your teachers, and it is strictly forbidden to disrespect your teachers. Once found, you'll be expelled immediately. Fan Zhongyan's wording was very strict. After Fan Zhongyan finished his speech, the lecturers of each class took turns to speak. In addition to the Political Affairs Advanced course, Cui Yingyu was in charge of the Mathematics Advanced course, Su Zhe was in charge of the Classics Advanced course, and Ouyang Shuo was in charge of the Judicial Literacy course. Gu Xiuan was appointed as the temporary teacher, which was equivalent to the modern teaching director. He was in charge of the daily teaching activities and the supervision and management of the students' discipline. After the lecturers finished, Zhao Yufang, who was chosen as the student representative, began to speak. The reason why Zhao Yufang was chosen was not because Ouyang Shuo was biased. It was because Zhao Yufang had won the graduation exam of the adult literacy course, so he was chosen as the outstanding student representative. Zhao Yufang came prepared. He took out a speech script from his pocket and began to speak. Teachers, fellow students, hello everyone. I am Zhao Yufang, and I am fortunate enough to be chosen as the student representative. Seeing such a grand scene today, I can't help but recall what Sir taught us 10 days ago in the adult literacy class in the private school. At that time, I, Zhao Yufang, was illiterate and illiterate. The adult literacy course taught us that power equals responsibility. If we want to go further, we must lay a solid foundation. 10 days have passed, and after the baptism of the adult literacy course, I can now write this speech script with the help of Master Fan. In the past, this would have been unimaginable, but now I have done it. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that a peasant like me would one day write my own speech script. I am very fortunate to be able to sit here once again and listen to the adult literacy course's teachings. My speech is over. Thank you, everyone. Enthusiastic applause sounded. Even Ouyang Shuo did not think that this beloved general could write such a touching speech. The boy was worth teaching. Ouyang Shuo made a simple conclusion, and the opening ceremony came to an end. Chapter 47. After the ceremony, Ouyang Shuo rode Black Whirlwind and went to the pottery factory outside the village. Zhu Yoji was in charge of the pottery factory. It was located in the northeast corner of the territory, next to the Friendship River. The reason why it was built here was that there was high-quality red clay here. The red clay was moderate in hardness, and the finished product was not easy to crack. It could be preserved for a long time and was very suitable for firing pottery. Zhu Yoji brought along his 3 new apprentices and was making clay. When they saw Ouyang Shuo, they stopped what they were doing and bowed to greet him. Ouyang Shuo talked with Zhu Yoji for nearly an hour and made a simple plan for the future of the pottery factory. He also asked about their living conditions. It was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon when he returned to the Lord's mansion. Ouyang Shuo read for a while and went offline. Sun Xiaoya was going home today, so he was going to send her off. After coming out of the game cabin, Ouyang Shuo ran a few laps around the neighborhood as usual and bought breakfast. After more than a month of training, Ouyang Shuo found that his physical fitness was not weakened by lying in the game cabin for a long time. Instead, it had improved a lot. When he returned home, the 2 beauties had already woken up and were washing up. Binger knew that Sister Xiaoya was leaving today, so her eyes were red. She even wanted to brush her teeth and wash her face with Xiaoya. After breakfast, Sun Xiaoya went out of the station. Ouyang Shuo and his sister saw her off. Coming back from the station, Binger was all yin-yin and listless. Ouyang Shuo didn't expect that in just a month, this girl had become so dependent on Xiaoya. At 10 o'clock in the evening, Ouyang Shuo finally coaxed Binger to sleep and hurriedly went online. According to the plan, Shi Wansui would lead the cavalry to destroy the bandit camp today. As soon as he sat down, Yingyu came to his office and said with a smile, "Big brother, the Bank of the Four Seas is ready. There will be an opening ceremony this morning. You can't miss it. It's quite fast. I'll definitely go." He really didn't expect that in just a week, you'd set up the bank. She was indeed from a merchant family. By the way, how did the financial secretary come up with the specific loan terms? Cui Yingyu glanced at him and said coquettishly, "Big brother really doesn't care about the financial secretary. The bank is about to open for business, and you only remembered to ask this now." After mocking Ouyang Shuo for a while, he continued, "According to your suggestion, we should mainly use low-interest loans. The monthly interest rate will be 2% compound interest, and it will only be limited to the purchase of real estate." Ouyang Shuo nodded. Providing loan services for privatization is only a part of the bank's function. The more important function is to provide commercial loans to private owners. What does the financial secretary think about this? A commercial loan with a monthly interest rate of 3%. The loan amount would be determined based on the lender's credit and asset evaluation. For example, the carpentry workshop that is about to sign a commission agreement with the Material Reserve Division can use the Material Reserve Division as a guarantor to obtain a large loan from the bank. Yingyu answered without hesitation. "Not bad. What are the rules for the villagers to deposit money in the bank?" Ouyang Shuo asked. According to the usual practice, there is no interest in saving money in the bank. For large deposits, a certain storage fee would also be charged. But in order to revitalize the bank's funds, it is also in response to Big Brother's policy of stimulating the private economy. The financial secretary has stipulated that for fixed deposits, the monthly interest rate will be 1% simple interest. Yingyu had a very thorough understanding of Ouyang Shuo's concept of privatization. Many of the methods did not need Ouyang Shuo's personal instructions. They had already been considered thoroughly. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at in a new light. Giving you the responsibility of the financial secretary was the right decision, Ouyang Shuo said, gratified. He resisted the pressure and placed Yingyu in the position of financial secretary and supervisor of the Bank of the Four Seas. To be honest, he was a little worried. After all, Yingyu had no previous experience in financial work. As the saying goes, gold will shine wherever you go. Yingyu had never made him worry before in the Material Reserve Division. Now that she had been transferred to the financial secretary, other than the initial instructions, she had straightened out the work of the financial secretary in less than a week. Yingyu was happy to receive Ouyang Shuo's affirmation. But out of a girl's reserve, she did not show it on her face. She said, "Big brother, don't force me to drink soup. It's about time. Let's go to the unveiling ceremony." Ouyang Shuo smiled and nodded. He got up and walked out of the office with her. In the administrative office next to them, Mr. Sven was walking out with a group of people from the administrative office. It seemed like they were about to leave as well. Ouyang Shuo greeted everyone and walked out of the Lord's mansion towards the Bank of the Four Seas. The bank was located on the west side of the square, next to the commercial street. It was less than 100 meters away from the Lord's mansion. The Bank of the Four Seas was a single-story wooden building with 2 entrances. Compared to the surrounding shops, it was much more imposing. The front hall was the counter for handling savings and loans. The staff were already at the counter. The backyard was the heavily guarded treasury. Before the unveiling ceremony, Ouyang Shuo followed Yu into the empty treasury. Players could store gold coins in their storage bags. When they took them out, they could freely switch to copper coins, silver coins, and gold coins. In order to facilitate the bank's business, Ouyang Shuo converted the 200 gold coins in reserve into 20 gold coins, 150,000 silver coins, and 30,000 copper coins. In an instant, the empty treasury was filled to the brim. After coming out of the treasury, Ouyang Shuo was penniless. He was only left with a pitiful 3 gold coins in his storage bag. The rest of the scattered silver and copper coins were also thrown into the treasury by him, so that he wouldn't feel annoyed just by looking at them. His current spending level was basically measured in gold coins. If adventure-type players knew about Ouyang Shuo's actions, they would definitely be so jealous that they would vomit blood. Most of them had not even seen the face of gold coins until now. At this stage, where silver coins were the main currency, he actually did not care about the scattered silver coins anymore. Wouldn't it be infuriating? When they returned to the front hall, the unveiling ceremony was already ready. At the main entrance, the signboard of the Bank of the Four Seas was covered by a red silk cloth. Ouyang Shuo led the way to the signboard. When the auspicious time arrived, everyone tore off the red silk cloth. The Bank of the Four Seas was officially open for business. At the entrance of the bank, the villagers gathered together to watch the grand occasion. Everyone knew that the official opening of the bank signified the arrival of the long-awaited privatization. Taking advantage of everyone's high spirits, Ouyang Shuo took out 3 coupons from his storage bag. They were 100 units of food coupons, 20 units of meat coupons, and 20 silver coins coupons. He waved the coupons in his hand and said loudly, "Everyone, please be quiet and listen to me. What I'm holding in my hand right now are the basic welfare coupons that the supplies division has prepared. These coupons can be exchanged at the newly built grain stores, meat stores, and banks in the territory at any time. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., everyone will gather at the square in front of the Lord's mansion. At that time, the supplies division will release the coupons for everyone. Apart from that, the territory has also prepared a piece of fur and a set of ordinary linen clothes for every villager. This is to thank everyone for their contributions to the Shanghai village. This was the first time the territory's basic welfare was fully revealed. Such generous welfare was probably the only one in the China region. After everyone heard it, they all cheered and praised the benevolence of the Lord. Some of the agitated villagers even wanted to kneel down to Ouyang Shuo, but he stopped them. Among the crowd, Qing was the one who cheered the loudest. Ouyang Shuo didn't intend to let her go this time. He said loudly, "Also, I want to announce a piece of good news. Our territory has given birth to a master-level skill talent." "Who is she?" Some of the people who knew this news, such as Qing, Er's apprentices, looked at Qing, one after another, and cheered along. "That's right. She's Mu Qingxi from the tailor's shop. In order to set an example and praise the advanced, I've decided to personally give her the coupons in my hand. In addition, I'll also reward her with 1 gold coin." Ouyang Shuo took out a gold coin from his storage bag and said with a smile, "Wow." The crowd burst into exclamations of surprise. As the administrative office announced the prices of various properties, materials, and salaries, everyone knew how powerful 1 gold coin was. They were all envious. Qing blushed under everyone's gazes. She originally thought that Ouyang Shuo wanted to tease her. Who would have thought that he would give her a reward? Under the escort of the apprentices, she shyly walked in front of Ouyang Shaw. Ouyang Shaw passed the coupons and the gold coin to Ching-er. He patted her head and said with a smile, "Everyone, you don't need to be envious. I hereby promise that the territory will reward every skilled talent that belongs to the territory with every promotion. Promotion from apprentice to beginner will be rewarded with 1 silver coin. Promotion to intermediate will be rewarded with 10 silver coins. Promotion to advanced will be rewarded with 50 silver coins. Promotion to master will be rewarded with 1 gold coin. The territory will make up for the previous promotions. You can go to the financial secretary to collect your reward." Another burst of cheers came from the crowd. The skill talents, in particular, instantly became fanatical. This was especially true for Li Taizhu and Lu Guangji, the 2 skill talents who had been promoted one after another. This time, they would have the funds to buy shops. This was exactly Ouyang Shua's goal. He wanted to take advantage of the privatization to make everyone realize the value of money. Announcing such generous promotion rewards would definitely stimulate the enthusiasm of the territory's skill talents. It also showed that the territory valued and thirsted for talent. Only Ing Pomelo stood at the side and patted her forehead. This big brother really did what he wanted. He casually said a few words and added another task to the financial secretary. While complaining, he still had to seriously record down the content of the reward. Chapter 48. After the unveiling ceremony, everyone went their separate ways. Ching did not leave. She pulled Ouyang Shua and skipped into the bank. She walked quickly to the counter and handed over the vouchers she had just received. She said proudly, "I want to exchange them for cash." The staff at the counter was a young man. He did not expect that someone would come to handle business as soon as the bank opened. The money that Ouyang Shua had just placed in the bank was still lying in the vault. There was not a single cent on the counter. How could he exchange it for her? After being teased by Ching-er, the young man was extremely anxious. His face was slightly red, and he was very embarrassed. Ouyang Shua did not stop Ching-er's willfulness. He also wanted to see the standard of the bank staff. And you saw that Ouyang Shua was silent and immediately understood his intention. Without another word, she brought the staff to the vault in the backyard to withdraw the cash. In less than 10 minutes, Ching-er had exchanged the vouchers for 20 silver coins. The little girl smiled and put them into her cute little purse. In addition to the gold coin that she had received as a reward, she had instantly become a little rich woman. Ouyang Shua stood at the side and nodded in satisfaction. The bank's efficiency was very high. Back at the Lord's mansion, Ching-er fawningly handed over the food and meat vouchers to Gu Sanyang. After the privatization, everyone living in the Lord's mansion, except for Ouyang Shaw, naturally had to pay for their meals. There was no reason for them to eat for free. Ching was quite self-aware. Even as the chef of the Lord's mansion, starting tomorrow, Gu Sanyang would have to go to the grain or butcher shop to buy food. There was no reason for her to directly withdraw from the vault like now. Ouyang Shua hoped that the Lord's mansion could set an example for the other administrative units. Currently, all the departments were concentrated in the Lord's mansion, so nothing much could be seen. When the territory expanded in the future, the departments would naturally have to work independently. He did not want to appear in the Mountain Sea village so early in a situation where he would use his official position for personal gain. Everyone living in the Lord's mansion, except for the second child, had a generous salary. They did not care about the food expenses. As for the second child's alimony, and he had already taken the initiative to say that she would bear it. Ouyang Shua was the only person in the territory, and he was only responsible for his salary. He didn't receive any salary, and he was completely supported by the territory. It was not that he was being pretentious, but he had to maintain the authority of the Lord through such a system. After all, this was an ancient society, and he had to follow the basic rules of the game. He would not dare to play with the democratic system of modern society unless he was out of his mind. Gu Sanyang had already received Ouyang Shua's instructions, so she was naturally aware of this. She didn't act pretentiously. She took the ticket from Ching-er and said with a smile, "Our second young lady is really promising." Ching Er's relationship with San Yang was extremely good, comparable to Yu's. She hugged San Yang's arm coquettishly and shook it, acting coquettishly. Qing Er won't listen to Jiejia. You only know how to tease me. Ouyang Shuo looked at Qing Er's childish appearance and shook his head in amusement. Will this lass truly grow up? He couldn't help but tease. Qing you just got so much money. Aren't you going to buy the tailor's shop? You're not the only tailor in the territory right now. If someone else beats you to it, don't come crying to me when the time comes. I forgot. Quick, quick. Qing didn't care about Ouyang Shuo's teasing. She hurriedly barged into the administrative office to find Zhao Duong of the construction division. Ouyang Shuo looked at this frisky monkey, but he couldn't get angry. He looked at Yu in tacit agreement, shook his head helplessly, and walked into the administrative office. In the office, Zhao Duong was introducing the prices of the shops to Qing Er. According to the pricing set by the construction division, the tailor's shop costs 56 silver coins. You can pay in one go, or you can choose to get a loan from a bank. So expensive, Qing mumbled as she reluctantly took out the gold coin she had just obtained from her small pouch. She handed it to Zhao Duong with a pitiful expression and said proudly, I want to pay in full in one go. Zhao Duong looked at the gold coin and shook his head with a bitter smile. He didn't have Ouyang Shuo's ability to melt the gold coin. He could only look at Ouyang Shuo, who had just walked in for help. Ouyang Shuo took the gold coin and put it into his storage pouch. When he took it out again, it had already turned into 100 silver coins. Zhao Duong took the 56 silver coins and returned the rest to Qing Er. He then took out a blank house deed that had the Lord's seal stamped on it from the table and carefully filled in the information about the property and the owner of the property. It was all thanks to the adult literacy class that he had gone through last time. Otherwise, just writing this alone would have stumped him. Qing Er took the house deed with a smile and waved it in front of Ouyang Shuo as if showing off. The latter mercilessly knocked on her little head and said with a smile, Keep it well. If you lose it, I won't give it back to you. Qing tilted her little head and glared at Ouyang Shuo. She then ignored him and ran over to Yu to show off. Ouyang Shuo looked at Zhao Duong and said, In my opinion, the construction division might as well set up an office in the bank. This way, the villagers can handle the purchase of the house and the loan at the same time, saving them the trouble of running between the two. My lord is still the most thorough. How about this? I'll personally oversee the bank during this period of time. I'll make sure this errand is done well. Zhao Duong quickly made a military pledge. Ouyang Shuo nodded and turned to leave the office. At 5 p.m, the cavalry returned from the bandit extermination. After receiving the news, Ouyang Shuo personally led a group of officers from the Lord's Manor to welcome the victorious returning warriors at the village entrance. Shi Wansui was riding his yellow buckskin horse at the forefront of the procession. As soon as he saw Ouyang Shuo, he dismounted his horse and kneeled on one knee. In a loud voice he said, Lowly General Shi Wansui pays his respect to His Highness. The cavalry behind him dismounted one after another and knelt on one knee, saying in unison, We greet the Lord. Ouyang Shuo helped Shi Wansui up and said with a smile, Thank you for your hard work, soldiers. He was in charge of escorting the spoils of war and handing them over to the administrative office, the financial department, and the reserve department in different categories. Ouyang Shuo led Shi Wansui to the meeting room of the Lord's Manor and listened to the details of the bandit extermination. After sitting down, Shi Wansui opened his mouth and said, The bandit extermination this time was a bit more complicated than expected. According to the original plan, I wanted to use the luring tactic you used last time to lure the bandits out of the camp. Then, we'd use the cavalry's advantage in mobility to get rid of them. I didn't expect their leader to be so cautious this time. Although they didn't see through our disguise, they only sent a dozen or so bandits to chase after us. I had no choice but to lead the troops into the camp and fight them in close combat. Ouyang Shuo nodded solemnly. It seems that the next time we expand the army, we'll need to increase the infantry. This kind of siege work is something the infantry is better at. Using cavalry to attack the camp is no different from attacking the enemy's strength with our weakness. You're right, sir. Fortunately, the enemy this time wasn't too strong, and the soldiers fought bravely. We didn't let you down, sir, and successfully exterminated the bandit camp. Sure, Wansway nodded in agreement. Ouyang Shuan knew that the real battle wasn't as easy as Sure Wansway made it out to be. He thought back to the tired scene of the soldiers returning and asked with concern, "How are the casualties this time?" "The casualties are a bit more serious than expected. This time, the cavalry, together with the intelligence division, had a total of 122 people. Among them, 1 died, 5 were seriously injured, and 24 were lightly injured." When he heard that someone died, Ouyang Shua's heart couldn't help but twitch. He asked seriously, "There was actually someone who died. Has his family been notified?" According to this general's understanding, the soldier who died was an orphan. He didn't have any relatives in Shanghai village. Ouyang Shuan nodded silently. This kind of situation wasn't rare in the wilderness. A large portion of the refugees were alone. At most, they would have a few people from the same hometown. There weren't many who truly had a family with them. 120 people went out to battle, but there were 30 casualties. The casualty ratio of close to a quarter made this victory seem a bit bitter. Ouyang Shuan knew that for a fierce general like Shi Wansui, victory was what he pursued the most. The casualties of ordinary soldiers weren't the most important thing in his heart. That was why he didn't have too many misgivings about the lives of ordinary soldiers when he formulated the battle plan. Letting Shi Wansui lead the troops out alone was a major mistake on Ouyang Shua's part. If he had been present at that time, he absolutely wouldn't have allowed such a reckless raid on the camp. After all, they had won, so Ouyang Shua couldn't criticize him face to face. However, he didn't have the slightest interest in talking and directly let Shi Wansui return to the barracks. After sending off Shi Wansui, Ouyang Shua got up and went to the medical center to visit the wounded. There were close to 30 wounded people at once, which made Dr. Song so busy that his feet couldn't touch the ground. Fortunately, most of them were only minor injuries. After a simple bandage, there wouldn't be any big problems. The key was the 5 seriously injured soldiers who were missing arms and legs. It was God's blessing that they were able to keep their lives this time. Coming out of the medical center, Ouyang Shua's heart was heavy. He felt a bit resentful towards Shi Wansui. He handed over the troops to him, but he didn't know how to cherish them. He was really a brainless boor. Of course, as a qualified lord, he wouldn't show this kind of resentment. In the eyes of outsiders, the Sir Lord was still so gentle and kind. After dinner, the Shanghai village held a cremation ceremony in the square. In addition to the soldier who died at the beginning, another soldier died in the afternoon, which made Ouyang Shua even more distressed. Because the entire territory would be the future capital, it wasn't suitable to build a cemetery, so they chose to cremate them. Ouyang Shua planned to cremate the dead soldiers and store their ashes in the village's ancestral hall. Once they were promoted to a town, they would build a cemetery and then bury them. The villagers came to the square to see off the fallen heroes. Ouyang Shua personally lit the bonfire. The raging fire instantly engulfed the dead soldiers. In the changing flames, Ouyang Shua's expression was dignified and calm, making it difficult to understand. Chapter 49. The next day, it was already 10 in the morning when Ouyang Shua came online. Bing, winter break started yesterday, and the girl had been pestering him the whole day, bringing him around to eat and drink. He was finally free. The square in front of the Lord's Manor was filled with people. The logistics department was distributing basic benefits, and the place was bustling with activity. Some of the villagers went straight to the Bank of the Four Seas as soon as they got their coupons, preparing to get a loan to buy a house. Other than the basic pottery factory and the brewery, the other shops and houses were selling for around 60 silver. With the 20 silver coupons, most of the people could get a loan to buy a house. Ouyang Shua estimated that most of the listed properties would be sold out in one day. Fortunately, the construction department had built hundreds of small houses that were suitable for families to live in. Otherwise, He didn't know how to deal with the situation. He did some rough calculations. Including the coupons, it would cost more than 600 gold to privatize the place. Other than him, no other lord would have the confidence to do something like this. But it was all worth it. Ouyang Shua checked the territory's economic index. It had already broken through 30 points and was still rising. This way, apart from the population limit and the mulberry garden, all the other conditions for leveling up were met. At 3 in the afternoon, the basic benefits were finally distributed. The refugees that spawned later didn't need to be collected together like now, and were distributed separately by the logistics department. After everything was done, Ouyang Shua summoned the various department heads and listened to their report on the spoils of war from yesterday's annihilation of the roving bandits. In a meeting room, Zhao Yufeng started reporting, "We got 1145 units of grain, 120 units of wood, and 500 units of stone. We got 105 gold, 45 silver, 72 copper, 5 blueprints, and a summoning talisman." The wood, stone, and blueprints were mainly from destroying the bandit camp. This time, Ouyang Shua didn't lead the troops himself. As long as the stone tablet was broken, the camp would be destroyed automatically. Out of the 5 blueprints, only the armory blueprints could be used. The other 4 could only be sold to the market. As for the weapons and equipment, they weren't included in the statistics. Ouyang Shua had told Lin to transport them back to the camp and let the riders digest them themselves. Subsequently, Gu Xiuan began to report the personnel situation. "We've brought back 125 non-combatants from the rogue bandit camp this time. There were chefs, breeders, tailors, and blacksmiths among them. Most of them are mid-level talents. Only that breeder is a high-level talent." Ouyang Shua nodded and said, "After the privatization, the village's dining hall will be disbanded." Name: Tian Wenjing, King Grade. Title: Model Border Officer Dynasty. Qing Dynasty Identity: Shanghai Village Villager. Occupation: Civil Official. Loyalty: 75. Commander: 40 Strength, 25 Intelligence, 70 Politics, 85 Specialties. Clear governance: increases the administrative efficiency of the territory by 20%. Ruthless Official: increases the prestige of the territory by 20%. Fair and honest: increases the integrity of the territory by 20%. Evaluation: one of the 3 confidants of the Yongzheng Emperor of the Qing Dynasty. He is capable and experienced in political affairs. He is known for being crafty and mean. He is a combination of an upright official and a cruel official. When he was governing the region, he was extremely strict with bandits, and there were almost no bandits in the area under his jurisdiction. At the same time, he supervised the provinces and counties to collect taxes and opened up wastelands with strict deadlines. In terms of administrative skills, Fan Zhongyin couldn't even compare to Tian Wenjing. At the age of 22, he began to enter the officialdom. He started as the county magistrate of Changle County, and then successively served as the county magistrate, prefecture magistrate, and minister-counselor of the Ministry of Personnel. During the reign of Emperor Yongzheng, he successively held prominent positions such as chief secretary, inspector general, and governor general. He was personally conferred the title of Model Border Officer by Emperor Yongzheng. The reason why Fan Zhongyin was praised by the world was not only because of his political affairs, but also because of his character and literary achievements. Tian Wenjing, on the other hand, was different. He entered officialdom as a supervisor, and his foundation was government affairs. Although he was an honest and upright official, he was still labeled as a cruel official. The two of them complemented each other. With these 2 people in Shanghai Village, there was no need to worry about government affairs. Because of this, Ouyang Shua sighed that Tian Wenjing was like a fish in water. Because it was already late, it was inconvenient to talk further. Ouyang Shua called Gu Xiuan over and asked him to arrange Tian Wenjing's daily life. At the same time, he introduced the basic situation of Shanghai Village. Gu Xiuan had done this kind of thing once before, so he was naturally familiar with it. In addition, Ouyang Shua specifically told him to inform the people in charge of the various departments to meet in the meeting hall at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. February 11th. the meeting hall of the Lord's mansion. The officials in charge of the various departments had all arrived. Ouyang Shuo sat in the middle and formally introduced Tian Wenjing to everyone. After greeting each other, Ouyang Shuo said, "After nearly 10 days of hard work, the privatization has achieved initial success. Today, I called everyone here mainly for two matters. After the privatization, military supplies must be supplied independently. In addition, with the expansion of the cooperation with the carpentry workshop, the territory's vehicles will also need to be under the unified management. In this way, the functions of the Material Reserve Department will become larger and more complex. Therefore, I have decided to officially upgrade the Material Reserve Department to the Material Reserve Department. There will be the War Preparation Department, the Carriage Department, and the Material Reserve Department. The War Preparation Department will be responsible for the logistics of the armory, military rations, and other military supplies. The Carriage Department will be responsible for the wooden oxen and other transportation vehicles, as well as the dispatch of horses. The Material Reserve Department will be responsible for the dispatch of basic supplies, as well as the operation of the grain stores, meat stores, and cloth stores. As for the sawmills, quarries, mines, and pastures, they will be under the direct jurisdiction of the Material Reserve Department. Zhao Yufeng and the others did not expect that the Lord would make such a big move right from the start. This was simply reshaping the Material Reserve Department. Not only did he split the responsibility of the Material Reserve Department into three, but he also separated the sawmills, quarries, mines, and pastures from being under his direct jurisdiction. This ensured the authority of the Material Reserve Department. Not only that, but Ouyang Shuo's real intention was to separate the supply chain from the reserve chain, so that they could restrict each other and avoid a situation where one company was the sole owner. After everyone had digested this heavy bomb, Ouyang Shuo continued, Tian Wenjing will be appointed as the Material Reserve Department's head. He will be responsible for the overall management of the territory's material reserve. Tian Wenjing stood up and bowed respectfully. Thank you for your trust, Lord. I will definitely do my best and not let you down. No one present was surprised by this appointment. At the current stage, there was no one other than Tian Wenjing who could be in charge of the Material Reserve Department. The most promising candidate, Zhao Yufeng, could not even control the Material Reserve Department, let alone the upgraded Material Reserve Department. The former deputy head of the Material Reserve Department, Zhao Yufeng, will be appointed head of the Combat Readiness Department. The former deputy head of the Material Reserve Department, Zheng Shanpao, will be relieved of his duties as the head of the Quarry Department and will be appointed head of the Carriage Department. The former assistant head of the Material Reserve Department, Du Xiaolan, will be appointed head of the Material Reserve Department. Ouyang Shuo took the opportunity to announce the personnel appointments of the various departments. Zhao Yufeng was conservative in his conduct, so Ouyang Shuo did not treat him badly by arranging him into the Combat Readiness Department. Although Zheng Shanpao's performance was not eye-catching, he had spent most of his time dealing with the affairs of the quarry. This time, he took the opportunity to transfer him out of the quarry and put him in charge of the relatively simple carriage department. He could be considered to have officially entered his official career. Du Xiaolan was Cui Yingyo's direct subordinate and was the key to Cui Yingyo's influence over the Material Reserve Department. In addition, she had done a good job as the assistant head of the Material Reserve Department. She was a meticulous person, so arranging her into the Material Reserve Department was perfect. Chapter 50. Ouyang Shuo went on to announce the second matter after making adjustments to the supplies department. He looked around and said with a smile, I've decided to start a large project before the winter break is over and the construction of the territory has come to an end. The manpower and resources required for this project will be astonishing. That's why I brought it up to discuss with everyone. Chuang Yu smiled. Big brother, just say what you want. There's no need to beat around the bush. Ouyang Shuo glared at her and said, the current fences in the territory were built when we were still a first-rank village. The defensive strength of the fences has already been challenged since the wild beasts attacked the city. Now that we're about to be promoted to a first-rank village, there's a need to upgrade the fences. Zhao Duong and Zhao Dexin nodded involuntarily. They were the ones who built the fences. Thinking back to the time when Shanghai Village had just been established, they were quite emotional and naturally had a deep impression of it. As the director of the construction division, Zhao Duong spoke first. There are two ways to upgrade the fences. One is to tear down the existing fences and rebuild them in their original location. The other is to keep the current fences and build a new wall around them. What does the sire think? The current fences were built according to the standards of a third-rank village. Seeing that the territory is about to be upgraded, they can no longer meet the requirements and naturally have to be torn down. My opinion is to build a new wall according to the standards of a third-rank village, which is a square with a side length of 3 kilometers. Ouyang Shuo replied, "Since that's the case, what materials are you going to use for the new wall? Earth walls, or brick and soil mixed walls?" Zhao Duong had been in charge of the construction division for a long time and had some experience with construction. Ouyang Shuo shook his head and said, "These 3 materials are too common. This wall will be preserved permanently. Even if the city expands in the future, it can still be used as an inner wall. Therefore, I've decided to use pure stone to build this wall. The specifications of the wall will be based on the city wall. The wall will be 9 meters tall and 5 meters wide. I've estimated that the entire wall will require nearly 60,000 units of stone. I'll give the construction division a month. Do you have the confidence to complete this huge project?" Zhao Diwang's scalp went numb, and he said slowly, "According to the sire's requirements, an average of 20,000 units of stone will be consumed every day. Just the quarry alone required 400 people to meet the demand of the stone materials. In addition, the construction department will need at least 300 to 400 craftsmen." Ouyang Shuo looked at Gu Xiuwen and asked, "Can the household registration office make the necessary arrangements? If we reduce the population of the other industries, we should be able to accommodate them. More importantly, we're about to be promoted to a first-class town. When that time comes, we'll have more people." Gu Xiuwen was full of confidence. "That's good. Big brother, as the chief officer of the financial sector, I must remind you, with such a huge manpower consumption, just the salary alone will be a huge sum. You have to be mentally prepared." Chui Ingyu interrupted. "The reason why I delayed this project until it was privatized was to provide an opportunity for the villagers to earn some extra money. Now that it was the winter break, both farmers and herdsmen had nothing to do, so they could participate in the construction of the city wall. With the territory's current financial situation, we can still support it." Ouyang Shuo explained with a smile. Chui Yingpamo nodded and said nothing more. At this moment, Fan Zhongyan stood up and said, "Since the Lord has such ambition, why don't you do it more thoroughly? This subordinate suggests that the new city wall should still have 3 gates. Every gate should be built with a watchtower. At the same time, the 4 corners of the city wall should be built with turrets to further improve the defensive capabilities of the city wall." Not bad. In addition, this subordinate suggests that we can start the excavation work of the moat now. We can divert running water from the Friendship River upstream and dig an 8-meter-wide moat. Then we can divert it to the main stream of the canyon on the east side, forming a complete river system. This will not only help improve the city's defensive capabilities, but it will also make it convenient for the villagers to fetch water. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Tian Wenjing was not to be outdone. After listening to the 2 ministers' suggestions, Ouyang Shuo made a decision and said, "The 2 of you have very good suggestions. Let's plan the project according to them. The administrative department will be fully responsible for it, and the material reserve department and the financial sector will cooperate." Everyone nodded. Being able to participate in such a huge project made their blood boil. It was conceivable that after the project was completed, Shanghai Village's defensive capabilities would increase by several levels. After the discussion was over, everyone dispersed. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, all the skilled people were invited to the Lord's Mansion's conference hall to participate in the signing ceremony of the Material Reserve Department and the shop's entrustment agreement. The ceremony was presided over by the newly appointed Material Reserve Department manager, Tian Wenjing, and Ouyang Shuo was invited to attend. Lu Guangji, the manager of the Advanced Wood Workshop, and Mu Qingxi, the manager of the Premium Tailor Shop, sat in the front row. Zheng Shanpao, representing the carriage department, signed the entrustment agreement with the wood workshop for wooden oxen and flowing horses. Du Xiaolan, representing the material reserve department, signed the entrustment agreement with the tailor shop for ready-made garments. Witnessing the signing of these two huge orders with their own eyes, the skilled people who were invited to attend the meeting became full of confidence, and they could not wait to go all out. The effect of setting an example was huge. Uncle Kong, a senior fisher, expressed on the spot that he was willing to sign the agreement with the Material Reserve Department as the fisherman's representative. Before the privatization, the fishermen had already contributed nearly 20,000 units of cured fish to the territory, and all of them were now stored in the territory's warehouse. After the privatization, the fishermen's cured fish were mainly exported through the primary market. Ouyang Shuo did not intend to make a profit from the price difference. After deducting the 20% transaction tax collected by the primary market, he purchased the cured fish at the price of 12 copper coins per unit. The territory mainly obtained its profits through collecting business tax. After the agreement was signed, everyone dispersed. After the matter was settled, Ouyang Shuo called the Material Reserve Department and asked them to arrange for people to transport all the cured fish from before to the primary market to be sold. In addition, of the 310,000 units of meat obtained previously, 160,000 units of cured meat were preserved. Except for the 60,000 units of cured meat that were reserved, the rest were all sold together. The 20,000 units of cured fish and 10,000 units of cured meat were sold at 15 copper coins per unit for a total of 180 gold coins. After deducting the 20% transaction tax, the net profit was 144 gold coins. It had to be said that while the market provided convenience for the Lord, it was also sucking the Lord's blood. Now, Ouyang Shuo had a total of 246 gold coins in his storage bag. Since he had money, he made up his mind and spent 120 gold coins to buy the dark gold tailor's toolkit that he promised to give to Qing. Name: Tailor's Toolkit, Dark Gold. Attribute: increases tailoring efficiency by 25, increases tailoring skill proficiency by 15. Evaluation: a tailor's dream equipment, a must-have for a master-level tailor. On his way back from the market, when he passed by the tailor's shop, Ouyang Shuo gave the tailor's toolkit that he had just bought to Qing. The little girl was overjoyed. When he returned to the Lord's mansion, it was already 6 o'clock in the evening. Ouyang Shuo simply went back to his room and logged off. The next morning, Ouyang Shuo first went to the military camp to change the professions of the 6 new soldiers. Of the 5 who had been seriously injured in the last extermination of the bandit camp, except for one who died, the other 4 were also arranged to be discharged. Although the cavalry platoon had suffered great losses in the extermination of the bandit camp this time, it was not without gains. Not to mention the large number of weapons and equipment they had seized to ensure that the cavalry platoon had enough spare equipment. More importantly, after this fierce battle, most of the first 50 veterans had been promoted to rank 5 soldiers. Zhang Deniyu, Zhao Sihu, and the other squad leaders had been promoted to rank 7 elite soldiers in one fell swoop. Even the newly recruited soldiers this time were mostly promoted to rank 3 soldiers. Some outstanding ones were even promoted to rank 4 soldiers in one fell swoop. These outstanding recruits were naturally appointed as squad leaders by Shi Wansui. After this battle, the 7 vacant squad leaders were all filled. Among the 7 squad leaders, there were 2 particularly outstanding ones. Shi Wansui introduced them to Ouyang Shuo. One was called Zhou Feng, 23 years old, and was appointed as the 2nd squad leader of the cavalry platoon. The other was called Liao Kai, 25 years old, and was appointed as the 3rd squad leader of the cavalry platoon. When he returned to the Lord's mansion, Tian Wenjing was already waiting for him in the office. Ouyang Shuo first poured a cup of tea for himself and said with a smile, "Sir, you don't come without a reason, do you?" Tian Wenjing said expressionlessly, "My lord is making fun of me. It's like this. Yesterday, I investigated the territory's animal husbandry. Right now, the entire animal husbandry is a bit monotonous. There are only two types of pigs and cows. Indeed, what do you think, sir? I wouldn't dare. In my opinion, other than large animals like pigs, horses, cows, and goats, small poultry like chickens, ducks, and geese can also be raised. What does my lord think? Tian Wenjing said. Ouyang Shua slapped his head hard with a depressed expression. Aya, why didn't I think of that? My thinking was completely wrong. I was only thinking about how to domesticate animals in the wild, but I neglected these small poultry. Fortunately, I had Sir's guidance, or else I would have missed the important matter. Sir, do you think that this kind of poultry could be raised on a large scale in the territory? Or is it better to directly distribute it to each household? At the end of the day, the territory is still a relatively closed circle. If we raise it on a large scale, it will be very difficult to find a market, and the profits won't be high. In my opinion, it's better to directly distribute it to each household and let the villagers freely raise it. It will also enrich the villagers' dining tables. Tian Wenjing said calmly. Tian Wenjing was indeed experienced. He had just taken over the Resource Reserve Department, but he was already able to fill in the gaps and provide suggestions on his own initiative. With Tian Wenjing in charge of the Resource Reserve Department, he could completely relax. All right, we'll do as Sir says. Arrange for someone to follow me to the market. I'll go buy chickens, ducks, and geese right now. The Resource Reserve Department will put them up for sale in the grain stores. Ouyang Shua said straightforwardly. Tian Wenjing nodded and got up to make the arrangements. Ouyang Shua once again went to the market. An egg was 3 copper coins, a duck egg was 4 copper coins, and a goose egg was 5 copper coins. He bought 20,000 eggs, 20,000 duck eggs, and 10,000 goose eggs in one go, spending a total of 19 gold coins. He specially instructed the staff of the Resource Reserve Department to tell them the price of all kinds of eggs to be sold to the villagers at half of the original price. It was strictly forbidden to raise the price without permission. Chapter 51. After returning to the Lord Mansion, Ouyang Shua didn't go anywhere but stayed in his office to read. Gu Sanyang said from outside, Your Excellency, there's a man called Wang Er outside looking for you. Wang Er. Ouyang Shua was confused. Yes, he is a stonemason. He said he had an agreement with you before. Oh, he remembered. It was the stonemason he had met at the construction site. He must have come to see him as a witness. He didn't expect this young man to be so quick. I see. Bring him in. Ouyang Shua ordered Gu Sanyang. Yes. Wang Er followed Gu Sanyang into the office and said respectfully, I am Wang Er. Greetings, Your Excellency. Ouyang Shua nodded and said with a smile, I already know why you are here. Tell me, when will the wedding be held? Your Excellency, I will hold the wedding tomorrow evening, Wang Er said cautiously. Okay, I will be there tomorrow evening. Don't worry. Hearing Ouyang Shua's agreement, Wang Er bowed to him happily and said, Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, Your Excellency. Ouyang Shua waved his hand and took a sip of tea from the teacup on the table. Gu Sanyang understood and pulled Wang Er, who was still in a daze, out of the office. In the evening, Buttface from the Military Intelligence Department came with good news. Your Excellency, the Military Intelligence Department has completed their mission and finally found the mulberry sapling outside our territory, Buttface said hurriedly as he walked into the office. Ouyang Shua was overjoyed and said, Good, there's finally a result. We are about to be promoted to a first-class town. If we can't find it, I will beat the Military Intelligence Department's board. Buttface chuckled. Your Excellency, this is not the only good news. One of our scouts found traces of wild goats not far from where the mulberry sapling was found. At this moment, General Schur has already left with the cavalry unit. According to the general's plan, we will track them overnight for fear of missing them again. Good things come in pairs. Quickly hand over the mulberry sapling to the Ministry of Agriculture. Ouyang Shua ordered with a smile. He was not worried about the cavalry unit's movements at night. The intelligence division had investigated clearly a long time ago, and besides the mid-level bandit camps that had already been annihilated, there weren't any other threats in the vicinity of the territory. At 10 o'clock in the morning on February 13th, the cavalry platoon returned with a full load. More than 100 cavalrymen drove more than 50 wild goats toward the village in a majestic manner. Seeing these wild goats, Zhao Duong, the Director General of the Construction Department, was so anxious that he jumped up and down. He cursed and ordered the workers to hurry up and build the sheep pens. Fortunately, wild goats were relatively docile animals. They did not run around but gathered together quietly. Seeing this, Du Xiaolan arranged for someone to bring over some fodder from the warehouse to feed them. Ever since the day the bison were domesticated, the Resource Division had consciously stored a batch of superior fodder. This time, it finally came in handy. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sheepfold was finally ready. Ouyang Shuo was lost in thought as he watched the flock of sheep being herded into the pen. Back at the Lord's mansion, he summoned Fan Zhongyan, Tian Wenjing, Cui Yingyu, and Zhao Dexin to his office to discuss some matters. Fan, Tian, and Cui were secretly referred to as the Big Three by the Shanghai village's administrative staff. Following the Big Three into the village chief's office, Zhao Dexin was a little apprehensive. Ouyang Shuo did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. With the further expansion of the territory's livestock industry, coupled with the construction of the mulberry garden, the agriculture industry in Shanghai Village is slowly getting on the right track. At this time, it is very necessary to establish a specialized department to coordinate and manage it. Zhao Dexin's heart skipped a beat and instantly became fiery. According to the Lord's words, he wanted to establish a powerful department that covered agriculture, forestry, fishing, and livestock. He looked at the few people present. Apart from him, everyone else held important positions. Could it be that this position was going to fall to him? Fan Zhongyin casually glanced at Tian Wenjing and said, "My lord, you mean to separate the livestock industry from the resource division?" According to the General Division of Jurisdiction, industries like the livestock industry should be under the jurisdiction of the administrative office. This was because the resource division during Cui Yingyu's time was too powerful and she was deeply trusted by Ouyang Shuo. In addition, the livestock industry was also very weak at that time and did not have much influence, so no one said anything. As time passed, it became a problem left behind by history. After Fan Zhongyan took over the administrative office, although he wanted to take back these powers, he could not find a suitable breakthrough. This time, Ouyang Shuo took the initiative to raise the issue of adjusting the livestock industry's jurisdiction with the help of the wild goats. He naturally wanted to add fuel to the fire. The newly appointed head of the resource division, Tian Wenjing, was expressionless. No one could tell what he was thinking. Ouyang Shuo pretended not to know and continued. Not only that, the fishing industry also needs to be separated. Apart from controlling strategic resources such as wood, stone, and ore, the resource division's responsibility is more inclined towards the management of the storage of resources and not the control of the source of production. This in itself is somewhat inappropriate. Tian Wenjing nodded and said calmly, "I agree with the Lord's opinion. With the flourishing development of the various industries in the territory, it is not time to establish a more professional and effective department." Cui Yingyu sat at the side and watched them argue. It was not good for her to interrupt. Moreover, the crux of these problems couldn't be separated from her. At this time, she could only maintain her silence. Seeing that Tian Wenjing had taken the initiative to give way, Cui Yingyu asked with a smile, "Big brother, what do you think this department should be called? Who should be the head?" She did not forget to glance at Zhao Dexin. Since it is in charge of agriculture, forestry, fishing, and animal husbandry, it should naturally be called the Department of Agriculture. In my opinion, there is no need to establish a new department. The original Bureau of Land Reclamation will be directly upgraded to the Department of Agriculture. The personnel appointments and subordinate relationships of the Department of Agriculture will remain the same, Ouyang Shuo said with a smile. Cui Yingyu nodded. She was not surprised by this arrangement. Thus, The Department of Agriculture became the most important department in the administrative office. After the dust settled, Zhao Dexian stood up and bowed. He said loudly, "Thank you for your trust, Lord." Ouyang Shuo waved his hand. "I believe in Director General Zhao's ability. Whether it was in the construction department or the Bureau of Land Reclamation, your performance was very outstanding. I hope you will be able to achieve good results in the new department." Zhao Dexian regained his composure and said firmly, "I will definitely not let you down, Lord." Among the civil officials trained by the Shanghai village, Zhao Dexian's ability was second only to Cui Yingyu and Gu Xiuan. He was much more outstanding than Zhao Yufang and Zhao Duang. He had even served as the village head before. When the time was right, Ouyang Shuo naturally had to give him a broader platform. In the evening, Ouyang Shuo brought second child to the residential area to attend Wang Er and Cui Hua's wedding. In ancient times, the wedding process was generally followed by 6 procedures: welcoming the bride, welcoming the bride, welcoming the bride, inviting the bride, and welcoming the bride. Welcoming the bride was a major part of the wedding. The groom's female relatives would personally open the sedan door and invite the bride down. Then, a fortunate elder of the groom's family would give a red rope tied into a concentric knot to the bride and groom. The two of them would hold the red rope as they walked into the hall. They must not step on the threshold. The threshold represented the facade, and the bride must cross the threshold. A girl would hold a bronze mirror and shine it on the bride and groom to seek happiness. The conditions in the Shanghai village were simple. Most of the villagers were alone. They had no parents, elders, relatives, or friends. Therefore, the wedding ceremony was designed to be relatively simple. It didn't strictly follow the 6 procedures. Fortunately, the Supplies Reserve Department had received Ouyang Shuo's instructions. Yesterday afternoon, they had sent people to deliver red silk, rice, fruits, and other items. The scene didn't look too shabby. When Ouyang Shuo rushed to Wang Er's small courtyard, Wang Er was waiting at the door. When he saw Ouyang Shuo, he hurriedly stepped forward and dryly said, "Sir, your presence brings light to my humble dwelling." It was a pity that he had asked Mr. Gu to teach him these words in the morning. Ouyang Shuo found it funny and nodded. Second child scurried out from behind and handed over his gift with a smile. It was a high-quality piece of silk that he had specially bought from the market. As a lord, he had to personally attend the wedding of his subjects. Naturally, the gift he gave couldn't be too shabby. This time, Ouyang Shuo didn't invite the various department heads of the Lord's mansion to come with great fanfare. If he did, it would be too noisy and it wouldn't be beautiful. Even when that little girl, Qing clamored to join in the fun, he didn't agree. He only brought second child with him to stand guard at his side. Wang Er's new home was a typical peasant's small courtyard. After passing through the main entrance, there was a small courtyard. In the corner of the courtyard, there was a jujube tree. Next to the jujube tree was a well. On the east and west sides, there was a kitchen, a firewood room, and a poultry house. There were only 3 small rooms in the main hall. The one in the middle was the main hall, and it was also a place for the family to eat. On the left and right side, there were 2 bedrooms. Although the courtyard was small, it had all the essentials. It could be seen that Wang Er was also a diligent person. He tidied up the courtyard neatly, and it gave people a good impression. In the courtyard, there were already 2 tables of wedding wine. Those who came to attend the wedding were either from Wang Er's hometown or stonemasons who worked together with him. It could be seen that this young man had good relations with others. Wang Er personally led Ouyang Shuo to the main seat in the main hall. Second child was smart. He didn't sit down with Wang Er, but took the initiative to run to the courtyard and find a seat himself. Seeing Ouyang Shuo, Zhao Duang, who had arrived first, quickly got up and greeted him. Wang Er belonged to a craftsman family and was under the jurisdiction of the construction division. He was very resourceful. He actually invited the director of the construction department to attend the wedding. Before coming, Zhao Duang didn't expect that His Excellency would also attend the wedding, so he was very surprised. In his heart, he rejoiced that he came to the right place. His Excellency saw that he cared about his subordinates. He should value him more. That was the truth. When Ouyang Shua saw Zhao Duong, his heart relaxed. Now that he had someone to chat with, he didn't have to sit alone at the main seat, which was too boring. Before the banquet started, Wang Er brought the bride Shui Hua to pay his respects to Ouyang Shua. Ouyang Shua said a few auspicious words, and then let the bride return to her room. He knew that in ancient times, it was not appropriate for a bride to show her face in public on the wedding night. Only he, the Lord, had such a big face. The wedding was bustling with noise and excitement. After the banquet started, Ouyang Shua symbolically ate something, then got up and left. He also knew that with him around, the guests in the courtyard wouldn't dare to make too much noise. It was better to leave early, leaving them to play around. Chapter 52. Early the next morning, the saltfield department started to organize the sale of sea salt. Greater than or equal the load after load of sea salt was transported by more than 20 fishing boats from the North Sunset salt field to the pier. The villagers put down their work and helped carry the sea salt from the pier to the plaza in front of the market. In just over a month, the North Sunset salt field had produced 240,000 units of sea salt after deducting the salt used to marinate the fish and meat, as well as the salt used by the territory itself. Such a large amount of sea salt took more than half a day to transport. All the sea salt from the North Sunset salt field only arrived at the market at 4 in the afternoon. Each unit of sea salt was sold for 20 copper coins, so 240,000 units of sea salt earned him a profit of 480 gold coins. After deducting the 20% transaction tax, he earned 384 gold coins. In addition to his previous savings, Ouyang Shua had another 510 gold coins in his storage bag. He didn't plan to use too much of it. There was still half a month before the first system auction, so he had to start accumulating funds. Ouyang Shua planned to sell the next batch of sea salt at the end of March. As he was going to level up to a level 1 town tomorrow, Ouyang Shua summoned the various officers after returning to the Lord's mansion and gave them some simple instructions. He asked them to sort out their respective tasks and immediately hold a territory expansion meeting after the territory level up. On the 15th of February, Ouyang Shua walked into the meeting hall and muttered the words "level up." A white light flashed, and a golden stone tablet slowly rose from the center of the meeting hall. Ouyang Shua pressed his right hand on the front of the stone tablet, and a system notification rang out. System notification, assessing the leveling up conditions for Shanghai Village, Condition 1. The population has reached the maximum population limit of 10,000, which is met. Condition 2. All basic structures have been completed, satisfied. Condition 3. Lord must be at least a third-rank Viscount, satisfied. Condition 4. Political, economic, cultural, and military index must not be lower than 30 points, satisfied. System notification. Congratulations to player who says nothing's leveling up conditions for Shanghai Village met. Do you wish to level up? Level up. The golden light shot into the sky and exploded in the air, turning into a golden halo that spread out in all directions. The halo continued to extend to the new edge of the territory before disappearing again. System announcement. Congratulations to player not wearing anything for becoming the first lord of a level 1 town in the China server. Achievement points awarded, 1,100. System announcement. Congratulations to player not wearing anything for becoming the first lord of a level 1 town in the China server. Achievement points awarded, 1,100. System announcement. Congratulations to player not wearing anything for becoming the first lord of a level 1 town in the China server. Achievement points awarded, 1,100. The announcement caused an uproar in the China server. In less than half a month, the Mountain Sea Village had actually been promoted to a level 1 town. This was truly despairing. Before the players could snap out of their daze, another system announcement rang out. World announcement. Congratulations to the China server player. Not have clothes for becoming the first lord in the world to level up to a level 1 town. Rewarding 20,000 achievement points, 20,000 reputation points, and the title Shanghai Town. Number 1 town in the world. World announcement. Congratulations to the China server player. not wearing anything for becoming the first lord in the world to level up to a level 1 town. Rewarding 20,000 achievement points, 20,000 reputation points, and the title Shanghai Town. Number 1 town in the world. World announcement. Congratulations to the China server player, not wearing anything for becoming the first lord in the world to level up to a level 1 town. Rewarding 20,000 achievement points, 20,000 reputation points, and the title Shanghai Town. Number 1 town in the world. The global special reward was only for the first place. There was no reward for the second place, and it was only for the territory that crossed a major level. The reason why it did not have the title number 1 village in the world was because Gaia knew that the people who established the village in the beginning were all players with custom-made gaming pods. Firstly, it was difficult to determine who was first, and secondly, it was unfair to other players. After the global territory defense mission, not wearing anything in his territory, Shanghai Town once again appeared in the eyes of players around the world. This world announcement was like a magnitude 10 earthquake, causing a global uproar. America, Liberty Village. Jack Dawson muttered to himself, "The mysterious eastern countries are indeed filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. What a surprise." England, Avic Castle. William said elegantly to the people around him, "Looks like there's still a long way to go to restore the glory of the British Empire." Japan, Mikasa Village. Keisuke Honda was exasperated. Baka, the Chinese stole the limelight again. Russia, St. Petersburg. Pushkin said excitedly, "Hee, only such a strong person is worthy to be my opponent. Not wearing anything. I'll wait for the day I fight with you." India, Bangalore Village. Dillawa's expression was ferocious. "We, India, are the true representatives of the Eastern civilization. Not wearing anything, just you wait." The biggest shock was still in the China region. Some were proud, some were shocked, and some were exasperated. First comment, not wearing anything is really good, giving face to our China region's mayor. Second comment, not wearing anything, the representative of the China region's lords, no other. Third comment, the era of the Handan 6 hegemons has officially ended. The era of not wearing anything has officially begun. Fourth comment, the strongest lord of the China region has arrived. Handan Village. Di Chun had completely lost his usual demeanor. He shouted in exasperation, "How is this possible? How is this possible? It's only been half a month." Looking at Di Chun, who had revealed his true colors, Di Chun remained silent. His bright eyes moved rhythmically. Danyang Village. Lord Chunshin sat in his office with a playful expression. He muttered to himself, "Not wearing anything, don't think that I can't catch you just because you're hiding. Hee, rejecting my alliance with Di Chun and choosing Lingxi Village. You're the same as me, people who don't like to be left out." As expected of the most shrewd lord, Lord Chunshin had actually found out about the alliance between Shanghai Village and Lingxi Village. How interesting. Lingxi Village. The four sisters, Qing, Hong, Purple, and White, gathered together once again. Fourth sister, do you still insist that our ally is a commoner player? Bai Hua asked. Sayani thought for a while and said cautiously, on the surface, to be able to level up to a town in such a short time. If he's a lone ranger, then it's hard to understand. However, I still stand by my previous point. Don't forget, in the last world mission, he received 600 gold as a reward. Violet shook her head and retorted, I don't agree. Didn't Di Chun still receive 450 gold? He hasn't made a move yet. And this time he's not just in the China region, but in the entire world. Bai Huan nodded. No matter what, we need to re-evaluate this ally. Luckily, we're allies, not enemies. Lianzhou Basin. Mulan Village. Mulan Yue asked a female general beside her. Sister, in your opinion, should we take the initiative to make contact with this neighbor? If one was familiar with history, they would definitely recognize this female general as Mu Guiying. Mu Guiying nodded. I think we can give it a try. It's best if we can form an alliance. Before the situation in Lianzhou Basin is clear, we shouldn't make enemies. Mulan US smiled. We'll do as sister says. Lianzhou Basin. Duanren Village. Blade Overlord said unhappily. Humph. Lianzhou Basin will eventually be our Duanren Village's world. Not wearing anything? Let him jump around for a while. Ouyang Shua didn't have time to pay attention to the discussions of the outside world. He continued to level up. System notification. Congratulations to player not wearing for leveling up the territory to a first-grade town. The Village Lord's Mansion has been automatically upgraded to a Town Lord's Mansion. 3 town-level basic buildings have been randomly selected. Player can also choose one of them. System notification. 3 buildings have been randomly selected. They are the primary brick kiln, the cemetery, and the orchard. Please choose. Choose the primary brick kiln. System notification. Building is being automatically generated. Please check for yourself. Territory, Shanghai Town, first-grade town. Lord. Not wearing anything, third-grade Earl. Title. World's #1 town. Increases territory popularity by 20. Popular support. 90. Public security. 85. Territory population. 10,000/20,000. Refugee spawn rate. 50. 1 plus 50 equals 75 refugees per day. Territory area. 200 square kilometers. Territory characteristics. Refugee attraction rate increased by 50. Special talent attraction rate increased by 20. Crop production increased by 50. Production. Skill proficiency increased by 20. Army soldier level increased by 20. Territory talent breakthrough success rate increased by 10. Affiliated village. None. Territory capital. 4 Seas Bank. Territory resources. Primary lumberyard. Intermediate quarry. Primary mine. Territory army. Cavalry platoon. Territory industry. North Twilight Salt Field. 500 acres. Political index. 40 out of 100. Determines administrative efficiency. Relates to popular support. Economic index. 35 out of 100. Determines trade prosperity. Relates to tax revenue. Cultural index. 30 out of 100. Determines education attainment. Relates to the quality of residence. Military index. 40 out of 100. Determines military strength. Relates to stable relationships. Basic buildings. Town Lord's Mansion. Residential courtyard. Village toilet. Village granary. Agricultural buildings. Simple farmland. Pig pen, cow pen, sheep pen, mill, mulberry garden, commercial buildings. Primary market. Intermediate blacksmith shop. Primary grocery store. Advanced woodworking workshop. Advanced medical center. Advanced martial arts hall. Advanced tailor shop. Primary pottery factory. Brewery. Grain store. Butcher, cloth store. Cultural buildings. Village ancestral hall. Village private school. Lianzhou College. Military buildings. Intermediate military camp. Stone watchtower. Stable. Weapon workshop. Arsenal special buildings. Ferry dock. Intermediate shipyard. Hidden buildings. Mazu Temple sealed. Recruitment hall. List of basic buildings. Frowny face. Primary brick kiln. A cave for baking bricks. Construction requirement. Primary brick kiln master. Brick kiln construction blueprint. 200 units of wood. 800 units of stone. Construction time. 3 days. Description. This building has been randomly generated. Cemetery. A graveyard for the dead. Construction requirement. 400 units of wood. 280 units of stone. Construction time. 2 days. Orchard. Planting fruit trees. Construction requirement. Fruit tree seedlings. 400 units of wood. 200 units of stone. Construction time. 2 days. Grain store. A shop that sells grain. Construction requirement. Grain store construction blueprint. 300 units of wood. 200 units of stone. Construction time. 1 day. Description completed. Meat store. A shop that sells meat. Construction requirement. Meat store construction blueprint. 300 units of wood. 200 units of stone. Construction time. 1 day. Description completed. Cloth store. A shop that sells cloth. Construction requirement. Cloth store construction blueprint. 300 units of wood. 200 units of stone. Construction time. 1 day. Description completed. Arsenal. A warehouse where weapons are stored. Construction requirement. Arsenal construction blueprint. 600 units of wood. 400 units of stone. Construction time. 3 days. Description completed. School. Intermediate education institution. Construction requirement. Jiren, school construction blueprint, 800 units of wood, 400 units of stone. Construction time, 3 days. Description, completed. Chapter 53. Compared to the previous village, there were some interesting changes in the interface of the town territory. The biggest change was that the basic buildings that were previously placed together were divided into 5 main categories. Basic buildings, agricultural buildings, commercial buildings, cultural buildings, and military buildings. After upgrading to a village, the agricultural, commercial, cultural, military, and other industries had to be clearly divided and planned in a more orderly manner. For this, the Lord needed to formulate more detailed industry management standards and establish a more complete administrative system. Ouyang Shua began implementing this step when he was still in the village stage. It was not an exaggeration to say that the current administrative structure of the Mountain Sea village was enough to deal with the entire village stage if he did not have greater ambitions. Currently, the administrative structure of more than 80% of the villages relied on the village head and 1 or 2 deputy village heads to maintain the operation of the territory. This extremely primitive administrative structure could barely work in the village stage. After all, there were only so many things to do at the village level. As long as the village head was a bit more diligent and had 1 or 2 capable deputy village heads, they could manage everything. Not all territories were like the freak that was the Mountain Sea village. When they were still at the village level, they had gradually established a relatively complete industry. From the salt industry, fishing industry, to animal husbandry, industry, and commerce, they had basically everything. For most lords, if they could complete the basic buildings required for upgrading, they would be thanking the heavens. How could they have the extra financial and material resources to develop other industries? This was also the reason why the 4 indicators were set in the conditions for upgrading to a village. The system hoped that the lords would strengthen the foundation of their territory before upgrading it to a village. They did not want to wait until they were promoted to a village before trying to make up for it. Another change was that the statistics of specific resource units in the territory's resources column were replaced by various harvesting fields. This was an important sign of upgrading from a village to a village. The system reminded the lords that if they still paid attention to how many units of wood and stone the territory had after reaching the village level, they would not be qualified to be a lord. At this time, the lord should have a broader view of the overall situation. As a mayor, he needed to pay attention to the resource reserves of the major harvesting fields and make long-term plans. For example, the Mountain Sea village was backed by a mountain range and had a large forest next to it. Whether it was stones, ores, or wood, they were all very rich, so there was no need to worry about the territory's resources in the short term. This was the advantage of a basin. Apart from a relative lack of wood, the reserves of basic resources were also very rich. As for the higher-grade gold, silver, and diamond mines, it would depend on one's luck. It wasn't that easy to find them. Apart from these changes, Ouyang Shua's focus was also on the new infrastructure. Although there were 8 new buildings in the Level 1 town, he had already built most of them in the Level 3 village. Now, only the cemetery and the orchard were left. However, this did not mean that Shanghai town could sit back and relax in terms of infrastructure. There were 4 village-level buildings that needed to be upgraded from a village to a town. They were the village toilet, the village granary, the village ancestral hall, and the village private school. The upgrade of these buildings was the same as the upgrade of the barracks. One needed to buy upgrade blueprints, which were 10 times more expensive. After checking the territory's attributes, Ouyang Shua finally had the time to carefully size up the Lord's Mansion. The town-level feudal Lord's Mansion had finally changed from a courtyard house to a house with 2 entrances. The front yard was where the administration worked, while the backyard was where the Lord and his family lived. The furnishings in the courtyard had been upgraded to a higher level, and it began to feel like a rich family. Most importantly, the new Lord's Mansion was no longer made of wood. Instead, it was a more imposing brick building. The layout of the front yard was basically the same as the Lord's Mansion in the Level 3 village. The main hall was still the meeting hall, and there were two large offices on both sides of the main hall. The mayor's office was on the west side of the main hall. The financial secretary's office was on the inner side of the main hall. The two on the east side were the offices of the administrative department and the supplies reserve department. The wing rooms on the east and west side of the front yard, apart from one for the dining hall, had 5 official residences for the people in charge of the various departments to rest and live in. The front yard's main entrance was more dignified, and there was a dedicated gatekeeper on duty. On both sides of the main entrance were the storeroom, the kitchen, and the living quarters of the odd job workers. After passing through the back door of the meeting hall, one would arrive at the inner courtyard. The first thing that came into view was a small garden. Rockery, flowing water, fish, birds, and everything. Although the sparrow was small, it had everything. After passing through the garden's gravel path, one would arrive at the inner courtyard's main hall. The main hall was naturally the living room used to receive guests. On the west side of the living room was a separate study, and next to the study was Ouyang Shua's bedroom. On the east side of the living room were 2 bedrooms that Ouyang Shua intended to leave for the 2 sisters, Yingyu and Qing'er. On the east side of the inner courtyard were rooms for the maids and servants to live in. Ouyang Shua was prepared to hire 2 maids for the 2 sisters to take care of their daily lives. After touring the inner courtyard, when he returned to the front yard's meeting hall, the various department heads were already present, ready to participate in the first expansion meeting of Shanghai Town. Ouyang Shua smiled and greeted everyone. After sitting down, he said, "I've already explained the topic of today's meeting yesterday. After the territory has been promoted to a level 1 town, what's the next step? I believe that everyone here has more or less some ideas and plans. This time, I'm not going to sing a one-man show, but focus on being a listener. Let's start reporting from the financial secretary." Cui Yingyu was the first to be called. She was clearly prepared. The newly appointed assistant of the financial secretary, Qin Li Fei, stood behind her in a well-behaved manner. Yingyu sorted out her thoughts and said unhurriedly, "At this stage, the territory's financial income mainly includes the income from the sale of properties, the output of the Northern Sunset Salt Works, and taxes. Among them, the income from a sale of properties is basically transferred to low-interest loans and used to cancel the territory's vouchers. Therefore, there is no obvious income on the books. This is a process of collecting interest over a long period of time. As the territory's gold industry, the Northern Sunset Salt Works only sold sea salt yesterday, and it won't produce any more in a short period of time. Finally, there's the tax. Because the privatization of this area has just started, there's no need to mention the agricultural tax. It's not time to collect it yet. As for the commercial tax, only a limited number of shops, such as the carpentry workshop, blacksmith shop, and tailor shop, have limited tax income. Let's talk about the territory's financial expenditure. It mainly includes the salary expenditure, engineering expenditure, industry support expenditure, and military expenditure. The salary expenditure includes the salaries of government officials and the wages of the major quarries and salt workers, which are fixed expenses. The engineering expenditure is mainly the city wall construction and the supporting inland river excavation project. The project takes a long time and requires more than 1,000 people to work. In addition, there's the industry support expenditure, including the weapons workshop, the brewery, and the ranch, which are still in the incubation stage and require the territory to continue to invest. For the time being, there is no income. Finally, there's the independent accounting of the military expenditure, which is also a large amount of money. From this, it can be seen that the territory's financial situation is not optimistic, and it's obvious that it can't make ends meet. The reason why it can survive now is completely relying on the early system rewards and the irregular income obtained from the annihilation of the roving bandits to maintain the territory's operation. Therefore, the financial secretary's next goal is to reverse this decline. To ensure that the territory's finances can operate normally without additional income and maintain a balance of payments. If you want to maintain a balance of payments, cutting expenses obviously won't work. Therefore, the most important thing is to increase financial revenue. For this reason, the financial secretary has drawn up two main measures to expand the scale of the Northern Sunset Salt Works and further stimulate the industrial and commercial exhibition. The Northern Sunset Salt Works is the territory's financial pillar. Expanding its scale can quickly increase financial revenue and have an immediate effect. However, there are advantages and disadvantages. A single financial revenue is not conducive to the healthy development of the territory, and the ability to resist risks is also very weak. Therefore, the financial secretary's main goal is to boost the territory's industrial and commercial exhibition. For this reason, the financial secretary has proposed to take out a separate support fund to encourage more skilled people to open shops or workshops. With the scale of a town, a single blacksmith shop, tailor shop, or woodworking workshop can no longer meet the demand. It's entirely possible to expand and promote the territory's commercial competition and prosperity. After seriously listening to the financial secretary's report, Ouyang Shuo nodded with satisfaction and smilingly said, "Very good. It seems that the financial secretary's thinking is very clear. I basically agree with the report just now. However, if we want to implement the economic stimulus policy, we must first carry out a change from the system. For this reason, I've decided to upgrade the financial secretary to the financial department, with the tax department and the commercial department under it. The former financial secretary, Cui Ingyu, will serve as the director of the financial department and the director of the commercial department. The former financial secretary's assistant, Qian Li Fei, will be promoted to the director of the tax department. The specific economic stimulus policy will be implemented by the newly established commercial department. After the promotion, the financial secretary's administrative rank was on the same level as the administrative office and the supplies reserve department, which was conducive to the financial department's work. Qian Li Fei, Cui Ingyu's disciple, had been promoted 2 ranks in just a few days, from an ordinary clerk to the director's assistant, and now he was in charge of the tax department alone. This also fully exposed the shortage of talents in Shanghai town, and many positions had to be taken up through excessive haste. Naturally, this was also related to Ouyang Shuo's rapidly expanding ambition. One must know that such an administrative structure was enough to support a territory at the county level, but he had created it at the town level. Chapter 54. After the financial department, or rather the finance department, finished their report, the administrative department continued. Greater than or equal to the head of the administrative department, Fan Zhongyan stood up and said, "The administrative department consists of the agriculture department, construction department, salt field department, as well as the household registration office. They are in charge of the daily affairs of the territory. In order to clarify the administrative department's authority and more rationally divide the responsibilities of each department, this subordinate has a suggestion for restructuring the organization. Please consider it, my lord. Please speak." This subordinate suggests that the salt field department be placed under the jurisdiction of the material reserve department. Sea salt is a strategic resource and should be under the jurisdiction of the material reserve department. Sven is untalented, but he has been in charge of the salt field department for so long under the Lord's trust. Please allow it, my lord. Fan Zhongyan said calmly, as if he did not know what kind of heavy bomb he had dropped. As one of the most important departments in the territory, it controlled the economic lifeline of the territory. The importance of the salt field department did not need to be stated. But now, Fan Zhongyan had taken the initiative to suggest that the salt field department be placed under the material reserve department, giving up the most important department in the administrative department. The day before yesterday, the agriculture department had just obtained the jurisdiction of agriculture, forestry, fishing, and livestock from the material reserve department. Could it be that he was returning the favor by making concessions this time? When did Fan Zhongyan and Tian Wenjing form such a tacit understanding? This was the thought of most of the people present, and also the biggest question in their hearts. But Ouyang Shuo did not believe that the truth was so simple. As the head of the civil officials of the territory, Fan Zhongyan definitely wanted to display his political ambitions. Straightening out the relationships between the departments was his first step. In particular, Tian Wenjing's arrival gave him a sense of urgency. Thus, he took the initiative to speed up the pace of restructuring the organization. Ouyang Shuo naturally had a positive attitude towards this kind of healthy competition. He said, "I approve." Fan Zhongyan was obviously confident and was not surprised by Ouyang Shuo's approval. He continued, "In addition, with the rapid increase in the territory's population, the work of the Household Registration Office is becoming more and more arduous. Thus, this subordinate suggests that the Household Registration Office be officially upgraded to a Household Registration Office." Ouyang Shuo was expressionless, approved. Also, the Administrative Department will recommend a new Household Registration Officer and report to me for approval. The previous Household Registration Officer, Gu Xiuwen, has other arrangements. This was really out of Fan Zhongyan's expectations. Gu Xiuwen could be said to be his most important assistant in the Administrative Department. Listening to the master's words, he was going to transfer him out of the administrative office, which made him confused. It wasn't easy to find someone who could take over Gu Xiuwen's position in the Administrative Bureau. Whether it was Du Quan, the original grassroots clerk of the Household Registration Office, or Qin Shijian, Fan Zhongyan's assistant in the Administrative Office, they were all a bit strained. Temporarily suppressing the doubts in his heart, Fan Zhongyan took out the last step of his institutional adjustment and said, "Reporting to my lord. With the continuous improvement and expansion of the territory's administrative structure, the civil service system, including the grassroots administrative personnel, grew larger and larger. Coinciding with the wave of privatization, all kinds of temptations followed. This subordinate believes that it is time to establish a special department to supervise and assess the performance of civil officials." Ouyang Shuo nodded in agreement. This was exactly what he was concerned about. After privatization, he could not expect all government employees to be self-disciplined and conscientious in performing their duties. If he really thought so, then he was completely politically immature. If they wanted to nip the problem in the bud, they could only put shackles on all the civil officials and lock their power in a cage. That was the safest way. Since ancient times, the governance of officials had always been a difficult problem, and it was also the biggest headache for rulers. Now that Fan Zhongyan had taken the initiative to propose the establishment of a department to assess officials, he felt very gratified. As expected of Fan Wengong, while being strict in self-discipline, he also wanted to straighten out the atmosphere of the entire territory's officialdom. I very much agree with what Sir said. I have decided to establish the Merit Examination Department, which will be responsible for the punishment and discussion of civil officials. The Merit Examination Department will be under the jurisdiction of the Administrative Office, and the Chief Official of the Administrative Office will also be the Chief Official, Ouyang Shuo said decisively. At this point, Fan Zhongyan had achieved his initial political intentions through these 3 simple steps. The Merit Examination Department was like a sword hanging over the heads of the civil officials, preventing them from dereliction of duty. Otherwise, what awaited them would be a severe punishment of demotion or even dismissal. As for the specific work arrangements of the administrative office, because it was too complicated, it was not suitable to be discussed in the meeting. After the meeting, Ouyang Shuo would personally find the person in charge of each department to discuss it alone. After the report from the administrative office, it was finally the Material Reserve Department's turn to make a report. Similarly, the Material Reserve Department had just been established, and there were many tasks that had not been sorted out. Tian Wenjing still had that paralyzed expression on his face as he calmly said, "This subordinate only has one suggestion. At present, the territory has more than 200 horses, and with the expansion of the cavalry, it will further increase. Therefore, it is very necessary to choose a pasture as a horse farm. More importantly, we need to find suitable stallions to breed better war horses." Tian Wenjing's suggestion reminded Ouyang Shuo of the excellent war horses that were produced in the Lianzhou Basin in his previous life, the green beetle horse. According to legend, the green beetle horse was the product of an ancient divine insect, the green beetle, and a wild horse. Therefore, The green beetle horse inherited the divine will of the green beetle. It could run like the wind and had a spiritual sense, making it very suitable as a war horse. Chief Tion's suggestion is very good. In fact, there is an excellent war horse called the green beetle horse in the Lianzhou Basin. As far as I know, the green beetle horse mainly lives in the center of the basin. Therefore, to find the green beetle horse, we must cross the Friendship River and search for it on the other side of the river. Ouyang Shuo changed his tone and continued. However, there's a group of valiant nomads living in the center of the Lianzhou Basin. These nomads are all soldiers, and they are especially good at riding and shooting. They are not easy to deal with. If we want to successfully capture the green beetle horse, it is very likely that we will encounter them. At this time, Dog Sanzi of the Military Intelligence Department stood up and said loudly, "Sir, leave this matter to the Military Intelligence Department." Ouyang Shuo nodded and solemnly ordered, "I agree to let the Military Intelligence Department take action. However, I have a request. This time, the main task is to investigate, and the focus is to find out the specific range of the green beetle horse's activities. It is not advisable to have a conflict with the nomads." Dog Sanzi nodded firmly and said, "Understood. Don't worry, sir." At this point, the first expansion meeting of Shanghai Town came to an end. After the meeting, Ouyang Shuo left the military officers behind to discuss the next step of the army expansion plan. After experiencing the bitter victory of annihilating the mid-level roving bandits last time, Ouyang Shuo deeply realized the importance of the infantry. This time, there were 4 village buildings that were going to be upgraded to town level. Among them, the village toilet was a level 1 village building. Therefore, the higher level of the town toilet was priced at 20 gold coins. This was also the highest level of toilet. There were no county-level toilets or county-level toilets. The village granary, the village ancestral hall, and the village private school were all level 2 village buildings. Each of the town-level building blueprints was priced at 50 gold coins. The granary and the private school could be upgraded up to the county level, while the ancestral hall could be upgraded to the ancestral temple. Ouyang Shuo spent another 20 gold coins to buy a medium-level market building blueprint to unlock the auction platform function in advance. He spent a total of 19 gold coins on 5 building blueprints. Speaking of building blueprints, he remembered that he still had 4 useless building blueprints in his storage bag. They were the building blueprints for the dojo, the stable, the weapons workshop, and the sentry tower. He simply took them out and sold them to the market. After deducting 20 gold coins from the transaction tax, he got 52 gold coins. After going through all that, he was left with 372 gold coins again. What a waste. Apart from the building blueprints, Ouyang Shuo was also going to buy some fruit seeds that were suitable for growing in Lianzhou Basin. He could also use seeds to plant or cultivate seedlings. In the end, he chose the arhut fruit. In fact, Guangxi was also rich in fruits such as lychees, longans, and persimmons. However, these fruits had to be grown with specially cultivated saplings. The fruits grown with seeds were all wild plants. It was difficult for them to blossom and bear fruit. Even if they bore fruit, they would not taste good. After leaving the market, Ouyang Shuo returned to the Lord's mansion. There were still a lot of affairs waiting for him to deal with. Chapter 55. After returning to the mansion, Ouyang Shuo walked into the administrative office on the east side. Ding he handed over the 5 blueprints he had just bought to Zhao Duong of the construction division. He instructed him to arrange for people to upgrade the 5 buildings when he was free. Then, Ouyang Shuo found Gu Xiuwen and asked him to follow him to his office. Gu Xiuwen had just been relieved of his position in the household registration office. When he heard Yangming calling him, he understood that there was a new task for him. After returning to the mayor's office, Ouyang Shuo waited for Gu Xiuwen to sit down before he smiled. "Xiuwen, you've been doing well recently. The tasks that you've given me have all gone smoothly. I've seen it all. Now, I have an even more difficult task for you. I just don't know if you have the confidence to do it." "Sir, please instruct me. I will definitely do my best." Ouyang Shuan nodded in satisfaction. Good. This is what I need. After the territory is upgraded to a first-class town, we can build a subsidiary village. With the expansion of the territory, the northern twilight salt field behind the mountain range has also been officially included in the territory. This is to provide a place for the salt workers in the northern twilight salt field, so that they don't have to travel back and forth between the salt field and Shanghai town. I've decided to build the first subsidiary village next to the salt field to house the salt workers. Sir, is benevolent. I thank you for your kindness on behalf of the salt workers. Gu Shouwen said sincerely. Ouyang Shuo waved his hand. The northern twilight salt field will be the territory's gold mine for a long time. The salt workers are exposed to the sun and wind all day long to bring benefits to the territory. It's only right to provide them with a stable place to live. The new village needs a responsible village chief. I like you, Shouwen. How about it? Are you willing to suffer at the seaside? Although he was mentally prepared, Gu Shouwen was still excited when he heard that he had the opportunity to govern. He said incoherently, I'm willing to die for you. Very good. Since you're mentally prepared, I might as well give you a hint. I'm going to name the new subsidiary village North Sea Village. It will mainly serve the northern twilight salt field. However, the role of North Sea Village isn't limited to this. In the future, it will be the territory's only port city and the territory's maritime trade window. Its importance cannot be overstated no matter how I describe it. Ouyang Shuo explained. Gu Shouwen nodded his head forcefully, feeling a great sense of responsibility. Does Darren have any instructions for this trip to North Sea Village? Don't worry, I won't let you build North Sea Village with nothing. His initial plan was to build North Sea Village according to the standards of a Level 3 village. In terms of population, the existing 250 salt workers were all under the jurisdiction of Beihai Village. In addition, each department in Shanghai Town will need to transfer 1 or 2 grassroots administrative personnel to assist you in setting up the basic administrative structure of Beihai Village. Of all the talents in the territory, at least one apprentice had to be sent to the North Sea Village. For example, if the territory already had 4 blacksmiths, they could directly send a blacksmith to the North Sea Village. Lastly, the territory will also provide a batch of basic materials that will be sufficient to deal with the early stages of construction. Ouyang Shuo dispelled Gu Shouwen's worries. Since they had the conditions, the North Sea Village naturally did not need to be like the Shanghai Village, which had to open up the wasteland step by step. This was the advantage of being a subsidiary village. With the support of the headquarters, they would naturally be able to develop quickly. More importantly, as long as the headquarters had already been built, the subsidiary villages did not need blueprints to build similar buildings. This saved them a lot of money. With the help promised by Darren, Gu Shouwen became more confident. He said in a relaxed manner, with such favorable conditions, I am confident that I can build North Sea Village well for Darren. Remember, when you get there, you have to set your sights on the long term. The best place to build the village is a place suitable for building a large port. In addition, although the northern twilight salt fields have not been attacked by pirates, we still have to guard against them. After you go, not only do you have to pay attention to the economy, but you also have to establish a defensive force as soon as possible. I will transfer a squad leader from the cavalry company to assist you. Ouyang Shuo warned. Gu Shouwen nodded, indicating that he would remember. The general situation was more or less explained. Ouyang Shuo stood up and smiled at Gu Shouwen. Let's go. Follow me to get the village creation token. Ouyang Shuo brought the puzzled Gu Shouwen to the meeting hall. He silently called for the stone tablet, and the golden stone tablet slowly rose from the floor of the meeting hall. On the front of the stone tablet, the words Mountain Sea Town shone brightly. He placed his right hand on the stone tablet and silently called for the subsidiary village. A system announcement immediately sounded out. System announcement. Mountain Sea Town is a level 1 town and has a subsidiary village slot. Do you wish to use it? Yes. System announcement. Mountain Sea Town Village Creation Token is a gold grade token. The subsidiary village's village creation token will be demoted to silver grade. Do you wish to immediately separate it? Separate it. A white light shot out from the golden stone tablet and slowly landed in Ouyang Shua's hand, turning into a silver Great Village Creation token. Ouyang Shua took the opportunity to look at the Village Creation token's attributes. Name: Village Creation Token, Silver. Characteristics: attraction rate of refugees increased by 40, attraction rate of special talents increased by 16, crop output increased by 40, production skills increased by 16, soldier levels increased by 16. Evaluation: unique item. Cannot be dropped, cannot be traded. The Silver Great Village Creation token only had 80 of the Gold Great Village Creation token's characteristics, and it lacked an exclusive skill. Even so, it was still an extremely rare village creation token. In the entire China region, including the Handan 6 hegemons, there were definitely no more than 10 Silver Great Village Creation tokens. According to the system settings, the subsidiary village's village creation token would automatically be demoted by 1 rank, and each territory could only have a maximum of 3 subsidiary villages. Of course, occupying other territories was not part of this restriction. When the subsidiary village was upgraded to a subsidiary town, it could expand to another 3 subsidiary villages, but the prerequisite was that the territory had to be upgraded to a level 1 county. Similarly, the subsidiary village's village creation token could only be separated from the subsidiary town stone tablet, and its grade would automatically be demoted by 1 rank. The cycle continued until it dropped to the lowest level, the bronze level, and there was no way it could drop anymore. In other words, Mountain Sea Town's golden stone tablet could be separated into 3 silver Great Village Creation tokens. These 3 silver Great Village Creation tokens could be separated into 9 black iron Great Village Creation tokens. From this, it could be seen that the gold Great Village Creation token had a profound effect on territory development. Mountain Sea Town, which possessed the only gold Great Village Creation token in the China region, must have a strong foundation. Ouyang Sha nodded his head in satisfaction and handed the village creation token to Gu Xiuwen, smiling as he said, "I've already created all the conditions for you. As for how far North Sea Village can develop, it's all up to you. Don't disappoint me." Gu Xiuwen nodded his head in silence, choking with emotion as he said, "Sir, don't worry. All right, go and make the preparations. As for which administrative talents and apprentices to choose from, you've been in charge of the household registration office for so long, so you should know better than me. Just take my token and go pick them. I'll help you arrange for supplies from the supplies department and the army. Tomorrow morning, bring them out." Ouyang Shua patted Gu Xiuwen's shoulder as he spoke casually. Seeing Gu Xiuwen walk out of the meeting hall with the token, Ouyang Shua muttered to himself, "Xiuwen, perhaps even you don't know what kind of opportunity this is. Don't disappoint me." Afterwards, Ouyang Shua called Tian Wenjing and Du Xiaolan to his office and said, "Perhaps you've already heard that Gu Xiuwen, the previous household registration office's head, is going to the Northern Twilight Salt Field to develop a subsidiary village for the territory. For this, I have 2 things to tell you. The first is about the Northern Twilight Salt Field. After the establishment of North Sea Village, the Northern Twilight Salt Field will be under the leadership of both the Salt Field Department and the North Sea Village. All of the salt workers in the salt field will become villagers of North Sea Village. The following salt workers will also be chosen from North Sea Village. Before that, I feel that there's a need to clearly define the responsibilities of both sides. North Sea Village is mainly responsible for ensuring the livelihood of the salt workers. The Salt Field Department is mainly responsible for the production planning of the salt field, as well as the storage, transportation, and sale of sea salt. I hope that in the future, the Salt Field Department and the North Sea Village will work together to help each other and not restrict each other." In addition, the Finance Department said this morning that they want to expand the scale of the Northern Twilight Salt Field. I agree with this suggestion. I suggest that we start the 3rd phase of the Northern Twilight Salt Field project. We can use 1 month to gradually expand the salt field to 2,000 mu. The second matter is about the construction of the North Sea Village. The Resource Reserve Department needs to do 2 things well. One is to open the grain, meat, and cloth stores to the North Sea village as soon as possible so that the villagers can buy the necessities they need when they go out. The second is to prepare a batch of wood, stone, and iron, or to be transported to the North Sea village via fishing boats to support the construction of a North Sea village. The North Sea village's back is by the sea, so wood resources are very scarce. However, the stone and iron can be mined by themselves. In my opinion, the wood resources this time must be enough to meet the construction needs of the third-level village. Tian Wenjing nodded and said, "Don't worry, sir. The Resource Reserve Department will definitely cooperate with Village Chief Gu and do our best to expand the territory. In addition, the Resource Reserve Department will also arrange for competent government personnel to establish a Resource Reserve Department in the North Sea Village to fully cooperate with Village Chief Gu." "I'm very pleased." Ouyang Shua nodded and stood up to see them off. Chapter 56. After sending Tian Wenjing and Du Xiaolan off, Ouyang Shua stood up and left the manor. He was going to the barracks to pick a squad leader and follow Gu Xiuan to Beihai village to form a defense force. Among the 10 squad leaders, Zhang Daniu, Zhao Sihu, and Li Mingliang were fighting for the position of infantry platoon jarl. It wasn't a good time to transfer them. Liao Kai and Zhou Feng were the best of the 7 squad leaders, but he didn't know if Lin Yi was willing to let them go. There was a recruitment notice posted at the entrance of the barracks. A group of young men in Shanghai town surrounded the recruitment notice, discussing it. "Look, there's another recruitment notice. We can't miss it this time. Come on, Stinky Egg, you got eliminated last time. What are you doing this time?" "That's right, it's time for us to show off." "You guys don't know shit. We were recruiting cavalry last time, and I got eliminated because my eyesight wasn't good enough. I excelled in both body and stamina. This time, we're recruiting infantry. I'll definitely be chosen. Hey, look at what you've got. I'm not any worse than you. If you can be chosen, I can be too." That's right, that's right. If you ask me, being a soldier is the most glorious thing in Shanghai town. Didn't you see Uncle Tai's Air Rome? He's been leading 10 people ever since he became a squad leader. He's so cool. That's right. There's also Liao Kai from Mother Wu's house. He's not only a squad leader, but even the Lord himself met him. Mother Wu was so happy that she kept telling everyone she saw about their kid. She's so envious of him. I'm going to join the army as well. If I can become a squad leader one day, that'll be awesome. Too bad, they're only recruiting infantry this time. I still like cavalry. It's so cool riding war horses. I can tell you don't know anything. Infantry and cavalry have their own specialties. There's no such thing as superior. I've seen heavy infantry wearing full body armor. Don't even mention how awe-inspiring they are. Ordinary light cavalry can only serve as fodder when they encounter them. That's right. We still need infantry to attack a city. I still think cavalry is strong. They can break through any formation with a group charge. Hey, stop fighting. If you really want to fight, wait until you've been admitted first. That's right. You haven't even been chosen and you're already daydreaming. If it's up to me, let's not stand at the door and quickly go in to sign up. You're right. Let's go. A group of people rushed towards the military camp in a mighty manner. It seemed like the townspeople were very enthusiastic about joining the army. For some reason, Ouyang Shua suddenly felt a little sad. These hot-blooded youths only saw the glorious side of being a soldier, but they did not see the tragedy of dying on the battlefield and the desolation of being seriously injured and retiring. Shaking his head, Ouyang Shua suppressed the emotions in his heart and followed behind them, slowly walking into the military camp. A long queue had already formed on the drill ground of the military camp. There were no less than 100 people who had signed up for military training on the first day alone. Shi Wansui sat boldly on a chair in front of the drill ground. 2 fierce soldiers stood behind him, suppressing the group of new recruits who had signed up for the army. Ouyang Shua ignored Shi Wansui's cool-headedness and went straight to Lin Yi. The two came to the guest room and sat down. Ouyang Shua smiled. "How's it going? You've just taken over the cavalry platoon. Are you used to it?" "It's all right," Lin Yi replied with a smile. He naturally wouldn't complain to Lin Yi about General Shi's influence in the cavalry platoon. Lin appointing him as the commander of the cavalry platoon was both a recognition and a test for him. If he couldn't even overcome this, then he didn't deserve to be a commander at all. Ouyang Shua transferring Shi Wansui out of the cavalry platoon and sending him to train new recruits was a warning to him. He wouldn't forgive Shi Wansui for taking risks like the last time. Ouyang Shua wasn't planning on letting Shi Wansui lead troops on his own until he found a suitable staff officer. Shanghai Town didn't have enough resources to withstand repeated losses. That's good. I'm here to borrow some people from you. Ouyang Shua ended the small talk and went straight to the point. As you wish, master. It's like this. The territory wants to build a subsidiary village in the Saltworks, Beihai Village. I've decided to pick a squad leader from the active squad leaders to head to Beihai Village in order to build a fighting force as soon as possible. Do you have any recommendations? Ouyang Shua didn't name a squad leader directly. He wanted to hear Lin Yi's opinion. Yes. I'd like to ask, how many people are you planning on sending to the squad? Lin Yi didn't answer the question directly. Beihai Village's security is much lower than Shanghai Village's. As a result, we've decided on 50 people. It's just enough for a squad. If that's the case, the squad leader going to Beihai Village would be a promotion in disguise. I think Liao Kai and Zhou Feng are both suitable. Lin Yi said with a smile. This wasn't out of Ouyang Shua's expectations. He wasn't satisfied with an answer like this. I see. Then, Liao Kai and Zhou Feng. Who do you think is more suitable? Lin Yi was troubled. He thought about it seriously and said a name. Zhou Feng. Why? How should I put it? These two have their own strengths. They're on par. Liao Kai has the guts to fight, and he doesn't hesitate to charge into enemy lines. Zhou Feng is calm and doesn't panic. He's brave and smart. When it comes to Beihai Village, I'm more inclined towards Zhou Feng. It was hard to tell that Lin Yi's evaluation of these two was so accurate. All right, we'll do as you say. Tell Zhou Feng to go with Mr. Gu tomorrow. Ouyang Shua didn't hesitate and chose to trust Lin Yi's judgment. After confirming the candidates, Ouyang Shua didn't stay long in the barracks. He went straight back to the manor. It was already 5 in the afternoon when he got back. There were still many things to do, but time didn't allow for it. He simply returned to his office and sat there quietly, refusing to see anyone. He began to plan the layout of the town level in his mind. After becoming a town, the territory would expand rapidly. Players' territories wouldn't be as isolated or peaceful as they were at the village level. It was very possible that there was another player's territory not far from your territory. Or maybe, after you leveled up your territory, you'd suddenly find that it was bordering another player's territory. How to deal with the relationship between neighbors would be very tricky at this time. After all, Earth on One, it was a game that focused on fighting for territory. War and death were the main themes of this world. As the saying goes, how can you allow others to sleep next to your bed? Any player with the slightest bit of ambition wouldn't want to be friends with their neighbors. Whether it was feigning civility or sharpening their blades, the ultimate goal was to completely destroy the other party and gain more space for their territory. This kind of war between territories would be the main theme in the middle of the game. At the county level, the battles between players were the most intense. The wilderness would be occupied and destroyed every day. The town level was just the prelude to the war between the lords. It wasn't even an appetizer. Even if that was the case, they had to prepare early. There were at least 70 players' territories in the Lianzhou Basin after the territorial defense battle, not to mention the 3 territories that were on the leaderboard of Dali. The early establishment of the Military Intelligence Division was to serve this strategic purpose. Ouyang Shua didn't have a clear idea even when he went offline at night. At this stage, he could only take it one step at a time. After all, Shanghai Town was the only town in the world. The other players were still struggling at the village level. It wasn't time for them to fight. After coming out of the game capsule, Ouyang Shua ran a few laps around the neighborhood, as usual. As the spring festival approached, the neighborhood was slowly filled with the smell of spring. At the entrance of the neighborhood, the property management company placed 2 huge kumquats with a circle of chrysanthemums around them. It was especially festive. Red lanterns and banners with the words "Celebrate the Spring Festival" were also in place. Seeing the kumquats in the neighborhood, Ouyang Shuo thought of the traditional flower market in Jiaozhou. Since the weather was good today, why not take Binger out for a stroll? After returning home, Ouyang Shuo woke up the little girl who was still sleeping and said, "Sweetheart, wake up. I'll take you to the flower market today. If you're late, it'll be too late." Hearing that they were going out to play, the little girl instantly woke up. She didn't want to stay in bed anymore. She got up and ran to wash up. What a little monkey. Ouyang Shuo smiled bitterly and shook his head. The winter jasmine flower market in Jiaozhou could be called a grand gathering of the Han people's traditional culture. The flowers were like a brocade, and the crowd was like a tide. It was very lively. For the people of Jiaozhou, flowers were indispensable during the spring festival. Because flowers were a symbol of beauty, they could bring people a beautiful scene. There were many kinds of flowers. They were colorful, fragrant, and varied in shape. They were closely related to people's lives and added endless fun to their beautiful lives. Passing through the sea of flowers, Binger was like a happy little deer, looking here and there. From time to time, she would stop and stand beside the flower she liked, asking her brother to take pictures of her. In the flower market, the most popular flowers were kumquats, peach blossoms, and daffodils. These three kinds of flowers were called New Year flowers. In Cantonese, kumquats had the same pronunciation as orange and luck. Buying a pot and placing it at home symbolized great luck. Peach blossoms symbolized great plans, and young people hoped to have good luck with women. Daffodils symbolized wealth and good luck. Naturally, Ouyang Shuo was no exception. He bought a pot of each of the three kinds and carried it home with Binger. Chapter 57. After returning home, Ouyang Shuo arranged the kumquats, daffodils, and peach blossoms he had bought. The plentiful kumquats, the fresh and elegant daffodils, and the beautiful peach blossoms made one's mood lighten up in an instant. The brother and sister had a simple dinner. Binger had been playing all day, running here and there. She was so tired that she went to bed after dinner without even taking a shower. What a lazy bum. Since it was still early, Ouyang Shuo did not rush to go online. Instead, he used his optical computer to log into the game forum. Without a doubt, Shanghai Town once again blew up on the forum. As the first territory in the world to be promoted to a first-class town, not only China, but the entire Federation was talking about it. Gossip was everywhere. In order to attract attention, the titles of the posts were longer than the other, with all kinds of things written. Mystery Man, little idiot, I'll tell you the true story of not wearing no clothes. Gossip weekly interview, those years, not wearing no clothes, embarrassing childhood. Best friend Akai's interview, is it a messenger of peace or a tyrant in troubled times? Lianzhou Basin Lord Huang Shuren's interview, the secret of Shanghai Town, scarf deciphered, shocking. Not wearing no clothes and game goddess by Hua's private date. Paparazzi weekly interview, uncovering Shanghai Town's family history. Entertainment weekly interview, explode. Not wearing no clothes and Lord Chunshin's secret meeting. The villain's special report, from the origin of species to Darwin's theory of evolution. Solid proof of not wearing no clothes Korean lineage. Not wearing no clothes secret revealed. Teasing you interview, not wearing no clothes, and I must tell you that night. On May interview, Ouyang Shuo really admired these guys' ability to imagine things out of thin air. Fortunately, it was only on the forum and not an official press release. Otherwise, he would have sued these guys for slander. Aside from these nonsensical gossips, there were also a few posts that had some weight. One of them was signed by Xiaosheng, which caught his attention. The post was called The Golden Token Conjecture, Clues and Clues on Shanghai Town, and it was quite eye-catching. Bai Xiaosheng was obviously different from other gossipers. Not only was he well-informed, he even knew bits and pieces of the game's inner workings and settings. He started from Gaia's original intentions in designing the gold-grade village creation token, then talked about how the Shanghai village had quickly taken root in the wilderness and how quickly it had risen. The entire post was based on the so-called facts. After a thorough investigation, it finally came to a conclusion. The gold token of the China region had long fallen into the hands of He Yuwui. This was the secret behind the rise of Shanghai town. Although Bai Xiaoxing's argument was ridiculous, and it could be said to be completely opposite, he had guessed this conclusion correctly. Ouyang Shuo believed that a post like this would surely be unable to escape the eyes of observant people. Soon, the news of the mountain sea town, using a gold grade village creation token, would spread throughout the entire China region. However, as the saying goes, counter soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. If he was exposed, then so be it. He was no longer afraid of challenges. It was about time. Ignoring the messages on the forums, he turned off the optical computer and lay down in the gaming pod. When he logged on again, it was already 8 in the morning the next day. Early in the morning, the various government officials and apprentices that had been carefully selected from the various departments had already gathered at the plaza in front of the Lord's mansion. This time, there were more than 50 people following Gu Xiuan to North Sea Village, as well as 250 salt workers from the North Twilight Salt Works. As soon as North Sea Village was established, its population reached 300 people, directly exceeding the upper limit of a Grade 1 village. At 9 in the morning, the group left the plaza, passed through the east gate, and arrived at the pier. At the pier, more than 40 fishing boats were already ready. Apart from transporting people, these fishing boats were mainly used to transport the various basic resources prepared by the supplies department. Ouyang Shuo led a group of officials to the pier to send Gu Xiuan off. Originally, he had wanted to go with the main group to personally see the subsidiary village being established. However, there were still many things waiting for him to take care of today, and he didn't have enough time. After all, this round trip would take more than half a day. There were only 4 days left until New Year's Eve, and there were many things that needed to be settled. Everything that needed to be said had already been said clearly yesterday. When sending them off, Ouyang Shuo didn't say any emotional words. He only patted Gu Xiuan's shoulder and said with a smile, "Take care." Gu Xiuan nodded vigorously and bowed deeply to Ouyang Shuo. The villagers of North Sea Village behind him also bowed. After Ouyang Shuo accepted the bow, he cupped his hands in return. Then, under Gu Xiuan's lead, everyone boarded the fishing boats. Watching the huge fleet gradually disappear into the distance, Ouyang Shuo turned to the officials behind him and said, "All right, let's go back. We still have work to do today." After returning to the Lord's mansion, Ouyang Shuo called the 3 chiefs to his office to discuss matters. After exchanging greetings, Ouyang Shuo directly said, "I called the 3 of you here today to discuss the establishment of the territory security team. Tell me your opinions." Fan Zhongyan was the first to nod and said, "Indeed." Following the promotion of the territory, the population has rapidly expanded, and there are 75 new refugees every day. The security situation in the territory is becoming more and more severe, with fights and petty theft happening from time to time. This subordinate believes that it is very necessary to establish a team specifically in charge of the territory security. I also agree, but will the security team operate independently, or will it be attached to the army? Chuan Yu asked. Tian Wenjing shook his head and said, "This subordinate believes that the security team must operate independently. The territory's security belongs to government affairs and shouldn't be entangled with military affairs. Otherwise, there will be no end of trouble." After listening to the opinions of the 3 important officials, Ouyang Shuo felt deeply gratified. Nowadays, he had gradually avoided acting arbitrarily in many of the territory's decisions. Most of the time, he would first listen to the opinions of the officers in charge of the various departments and gather the opinions of all parties before making a decision. After all, an individual's wisdom was limited, and it was hard to avoid oversights. An outstanding lord must learn to use the wisdom of the team. Moreover, acting arbitrarily for a long time could easily breed arrogance and complacency. In the long run, it was inevitable that he wouldn't listen to the opinions of others. He smiled and said, "Chief Tian's words are very reasonable. Military affairs and government affairs must be operated independently. Previously, my idea was to establish a security team. After listening to your opinions, I now feel that it would be more scientific and reasonable to establish a specialized department. The newly established department will be called the Public Order Department. Its main responsibility will be to prevent, stop, and investigate illegal and criminal activities, maintain the territory's security and stop actions that endanger it, manage traffic in dangerous goods, and guard important places and facilities. Guard important places and facilities. Which places are you referring to, Big Brother? Does that include the Bank of the Four Seas? Inyu is obviously more interested in this. The vault behind the Bank of the Four Seas didn't have any guards at all. Just thinking about it made her a little worried. Naturally, at this stage, only the Lord's residence and the Bank of the Four Seas need special guards, Ouyang Shua said with certainty. As the chief of the administration, Fan Zhongyan was more concerned about the establishment of the new department. He said, "According to my lord, the Public Order Department has a great responsibility. Apart from general public security affairs, they also need to be in charge of dangerous goods control and guarding. What is my lord's opinion on the establishment of the Public Order Department?" The Public Order Department's establishment is temporarily set at 20 people. All members of the Public Order Department must become bailiffs or bailiffs, Ouyang Shua replied. 20 people? This is currently the largest department. The Lord's residence alone can't accommodate so many people. In my opinion, we should set up a special office for the Public Order Department, Ingyu said with a smile. Ouyang Shua nodded. That's right. In my opinion, we should build a courtyard house on the west side of the square in front of the Lord's residence as the Public Order Department's office. In addition, the bailiffs of the Public Order Department must be equipped with the same uniform and weapons. This matter will be handled by the Resource Division. Tian Wenjing nodded, indicating that there was no problem. The next step was the most important personnel arrangement. However, other than the three chiefs, there was no one else present, so they couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. At this moment, the gatekeeper shouted from outside, "Reporting to my lord, former militia member Li Tai has come to report on orders." Everyone suddenly understood. So that's how it was. "Bring him in." A middle-aged man in his 30s with a single eye walked into the mayor's office. After Ouyang Shua invited him to sit down, he smiled and introduced Li Tai to the three chiefs. When Li Tai was injured and retired, Fan Zhongyan and Tian Wenjing hadn't come to Shanghai Village yet, so they naturally didn't know each other. Evening, you didn't know Li Tai since he was previously a militia member. Li Tai was very excited to be summoned by his lord. He still remembered that he and Song Yi were seriously injured during the operation to annihilate the beginner bandit camp and had no choice but to retire from the militia. Just when the two of them felt that their future was bleak, his lord personally visited them at the medical center and cheered them on. He even promised to recruit them into the Public Order Department after the territory was upgraded to a town. As expected, on the second day after the territory was upgraded, he was summoned by his lord. Ouyang Shua said with a smile, "Li Tai is the person I have in mind to be the Public Order Department's chief, along with Song Yi and Zhao Kuei. They will be the ones in charge of the establishment of the Public Order Department." Zhao Kuei was one of the 4 cavalry members who were seriously injured and retired during the operation to annihilate the intermediate bandit camp. His left ear was completely cut off. The other 3 who were seriously injured were severely disabled and no longer suitable for public order management work. Speaking of which, it was quite funny. Among these 3 backbones of the Public Order Department, Li Tai was blind in one eye, Song Yi lost 2 fingers, and Zhao Kuei was missing an ear. None of them were complete. History often liked to play jokes like this. It was these 3 men with incomplete bodies who led the Public Order Department to make a name for themselves in the years to come. Li Tai was known as the One-Eyed Constable, Song Yi as the Iron Hand, and Zhao Kuei as the One Ear. They were known as the 3 great constables of the territory. Chapter 58. After discussing the matters of the Public Order Bureau, apart from Fan Zhongyan, everyone else took their leave. The territory had just been upgraded, and everyone was very busy. There was no time to stay for tea and chat. The newly appointed Public Order Bureau Director Li Tai was in a hurry to gather Song, Yi, and Zhao Kuei. Afterwards, he had to put up a recruitment notice to fill in the 20 team members as soon as possible. He had made a military pledge in front of the Lord that the Public Order Bureau must be established before the Spring Festival to ensure security during the festival. There was no need to mention Cui Yingyu. The Commerce Bureau was newly established, and the personnel were not complete. How to quickly establish the framework of the Commerce Bureau and implement a new round of economic stimulus policy as soon as possible was the most important thing in front of her. Tian Wenjing, the director of the Resource Bureau, was also not relaxed. On one hand, he had to cooperate with the Military Intelligence Department to organize the search for cyan beetle horses. He also had to find a suitable place to build a horse farm. On the other hand, with the rapid expansion of the territory's transportation needs, using wooden oxen to build a specialized transport fleet, as well as building a specialized transport fleet on the river between Shanghai Town and Beihai Village were all important matters in front of the Resource Bureau. After the others left, Fan Zhongyin said, reporting to the Lord, regarding the position of the Director General of the Registration Bureau, I recommend a person for the Lord's consideration. Who? Ouyang Shuo was more curious about who Fan Zhongyin would recommend to replace Gu Xiuwen, who had already gone to Beihai Village. The work of the Registration Bureau looked very simple on the surface. It was just to register the household register of the refugees and sort out the distribution of the 5 types of workers. In reality, it also shouldered the important mission of finding talents for the territory. When Gu Xiuwen was here, he would deal with ordinary talents himself. Only those that he thought were more important or that Ouyang Shuo would be interested in would be specially reported to him for him to make arrangements. This was a test of the intelligence and foresight of the Director General of the Registration Bureau. If it was a talent that you thought was very important, but when reported to Ouyang Shuo, he did not have the slightest interest, or if you thought it was an ordinary talent, but it was a special talent that Ouyang Shuo had always been looking for. Either way, it was a dereliction of duty by the Director General of the Registration Bureau. Fan Zhongyin didn't hesitate and said directly, among the refugees who spawned today, there's a young scholar named Zhou Haichen. I recommend him to be the director of the Household Registration Department. This caused Ouyang Shuo to be slightly surprised. He originally thought that Fan Zhongyin would recommend his assistant, Qin Shijian, to assume the position of head of the Census Department. If it was really Qin Shijian, he would not object. Ouyang Shuo had some understanding of this young man. He took the initiative to enroll in the first political affairs advanced course organized by Lianzhou College and graduated as the top student. After that, he was personally appointed by Fan Zhongyin as his assistant to assist him in handling government affairs. Under Fan Zhongyin's guidance, he became more experienced in handling government affairs. Such a good seedling had long been listed as a reserve talent by Ouyang Shuo. He was still thinking about when to give Qin Shijian more responsibilities. She didn't expect that Fan Zhongyin's preferred candidate for Director General was a newcomer. It seemed that this Zhou Haichen was not an ordinary person. He had only just arrived at the Shanghai town, but he was already recognized by the Chief Administrative Officer and entrusted with such an important task. Since Ouyang Shuo had already promised that Fan Zhongyin would choose the director of the Census Department, he naturally wouldn't go back on his word. He smiled and said, all right, I agree to this appointment. He must be a talent to be recognized by Sir. If you have time, bring him to me. Also, it's time to give Qin Shijian and Du Quan more responsibilities. How about this? Appoint Qin Shijian as the assistant to the chief of the administrative office, and appoint Du Quan, who was originally a grassroots clerk in the Census Department, as the assistant director of the Census Department. Fan Zhongyin nodded, indicating that he had no objections. Qin Shijian had basically taken over another position from Gu Xiuwen. From now on, he could legitimately assist Fan Zhongyin in handling government affairs in the administrative office. As for Du Quan, he also graduated from the first political affairs advanced course in Lianzhou College and was recruited by Gu Xiuwen to work in the Census Department. It was said that Gu Xiuwen thought highly of her attentiveness. This time, Ouyang Shua simply took the opportunity to give him a promotion, providing a broader platform for him to display his talents. After discussing the personnel changes in the administrative office, Fan Zhongyan tactfully took his leave. Right now, he was the busiest person in the territory. Not only did he have to manage all government affairs in the administrative office, but he also had to set up the merit examination department and register all government officials in the territory. According to Ouyang Shaw, since the Spring Festival was approaching, it was a good opportunity to conduct an end-of-year evaluation of all government officials. The evaluation would be divided into 4 grades: excellent, good, pass, and poor. Those who were evaluated as excellent would be promoted and appointed first. Those who were evaluated as poor would be kept in their positions, while those who were evaluated as poor would be demoted or even dismissed. Not long after Fan Zhongyan left, Ouyang Shua received 2 messenger pigeons. They were from Baihua of Lingxi Village and Mulan Yue of Mulan Village. He first opened Baihua's messenger pigeon. This beautiful alliance leader first expressed her congratulations on Shanghai Town's promotion. After some pleasantries, she tactfully asked him for advice on how to promote a town. She was especially interested in how to promote the territory's economic index. Of course, Ouyang Shua had no need to hide this kind of promotion strategy. He still had this kind of magnanimity. Why would he keep it to himself? He very straightforwardly listed the measures to privatize Shanghai Village, from setting up a bank, to setting up a basic welfare system, to setting up prices and wages, and gave it to Baihua. Ouyang Shua also hoped that Lingxi Village would be able to get promoted as soon as possible and break the monopoly of Handan City's 6 hegemons on the leaderboard. As for how Lingxi Village would raise the funds for the privatization, that was not something he should consider. Next, he opened Mu Lanyue's messenger pigeon. He did not know much about this female leader of the Lianzhou Basin's 3 hegemons in his previous life. After all, in his previous life, he was just an adventurer and only had some impression of the famous leaders. For a place like Lianzhou Basin, it was all thanks to his effort that he was able to get a general understanding of the situation. As for the specific information of the leaders, how could he know more about them? As expected, Mulan Yue expressed her intention to form an alliance in her letter. Mulan Village was located at the northernmost part of Lianzhou Basin, next to the southern town pass, firmly blocking the only path from Lianzhou Basin to the hinterland. Shanghai Town was located at the southernmost part of Lianzhou Basin, blocking the only path from Lianzhou Basin to the sea. It was hard to say who was superior and who was inferior at the moment. It could only be said that the benevolent saw benevolence and the wise saw wisdom. For the leaders who liked to expand, the southern town pass was naturally a place that they would fight for. As for the leaders who were more interested in the Kingdom War, the vast ocean was obviously more attractive. Mu Lanyue's choice to build a village near the southern town pass was enough to win Ouyang Shua's respect and favorable impression, not to mention anything else. Mulan Village and Shanghai Town happened to be located in the south and north respectively. Before they upgraded to a capital city, their territories would not intersect. The 2 territories also happened to block the only 2 exits from Lianzhou Basin. Once they joined forces, the other leaders of Lianzhou Basin would have a hard time dealing with them. Ouyang Shua did not intend to reject Mu Lanyue's request to form an alliance. Perhaps this ally of his would bring him even more surprises in the future territorial wars. He took out the Lord's Handbook from his storage pouch and flipped to the territory section. He searched for Mulan Village and Lord Mu Lanyue. After confirming, an alliance request automatically popped up. He clicked on Confirm, and an alliance agreement immediately popped up. He then took out the Lord's seal from his storage pouch and stamped it on the agreement without hesitation. At this point, Shanghai Town and Mulan Village had officially formed an alliance. After both sides signed the agreement, Ouyang Shua gave Mu Lanyue a copy of the privatization measures that he had given to Baihua. At the same time, he informed their ally, Spirit Rhino Village, about the alliance. Between allies, they could form bilateral alliances, or they could form multilateral alliances. If Baihua and Mu Lanyue wanted to, they could form an alliance as well. At the same time, in the Milan village chief's office, a young girl in her 20s said happily, "Big Sister Mu, it really is as you expected. Shanghai Town has agreed to our alliance." Mu Ging looked at Mu Lanyu dotingly and said with a smile, "As long as the lord of Shanghai Town is not an arrogant person, he will naturally not reject our alliance. After all, there will be no conflict of interest between our two clans for a long time." Mu Lanyu nodded and said, All right." He even gave us a strategy to upgrade to a town. But to implement it according to his plan, we will need a lot of gold coins. Mu Guing shook her head in disagreement. "Don't worry, take your time. The original intention of this privatization measure was good. But if it's just to upgrade to a first-rank town, there is no need to do it so thoroughly. I believe that Shanghai Town is doing this because they have sufficient funds, which is why they have such a generous basic welfare system. We can adjust it according to the actual situation of Mulan Village and still meet the requirements of the economic index." Mu Lanyuan nodded like a chick pecking at rice. She didn't look like a lord, but more like a little girl worshipping her idol. Hee. After hearing Big Sister Mu's analysis, I feel much more relaxed." Mu Guing rubbed Mu Lanyua's head and smiled without saying anything. Chapter 59. After dealing with the alliance with Mulan Village, Ouyang Shuo went to the military camp. 100 infantrymen had been recruited, and he had to go to the camp to change their class. After leaving the camp, Ouyang Shuo went to the outskirts of town to check on the construction progress of the city wall and moat. In just one day, the construction department had finished drawing the lines of the city wall and started to arrange for workers to lay the foundation. Batch after batch of stones were continuously transported from the quarry to the construction site through wooden oxen and flowing horses. The moat started from the Friendship River and passed through the entire city before flowing into the main stream of the canyon. It was 35 kilometers long, 8 meters wide, and 10 meters deep. For such a huge project, even the most basic surveying and setting out work had not been completed yet. More than half of the refugees that spawned every day were used for these two projects. Even so, it would take at least a month or two to complete these two projects. On the way back from the construction site, Ouyang Shuo suddenly heard a system notification. System notification. Congratulations to player, not have closed for successfully establishing a subsidiary village, Beihai Village. Special reward, 200 achievement points for 100 reputation points. Ouyang Shuo finally relaxed after hearing the news of Beihai Village being established. The development of Beihai Village would depend on Gu Xiuan's hard work. He was too far away to help. When passing by the business street, Ouyang Shuo accidentally saw the high-class dojo on the east side of the business street. The dojo master was a high-class martial artist, Lin Yu. His brother was shining brightly in the military, but as the big brother, he was still as low-key as ever. For some reason, Ouyang Shuo suddenly wanted to meet this low-key martial artist. He turned around and walked towards the dojo's main entrance. The gatekeeper saw that the lord was coming in person and asked someone to inform the dojo master while leading the way. As soon as he entered the dojo, he heard sounds of training. On the dojo's drill ground, more than 30 students were training. Lin Yu stood at the side, correcting each student's basic movements from time to time. He heard the gatekeeper report that the lord had come to the dojo. He turned around and ordered his disciple, Wang Feng, to continue supervising the students while he personally went to the reception room. When he entered the reception room, he saw Ouyang Shuo sitting there leisurely drinking tea. He hurriedly bowed. "Welcome, Lord. Please forgive me for not welcoming you earlier." Ouyang Shuo put down his teacup and smiled. "I was just passing by." Ever since the establishment of the dojo, he had never been here before. Since he had the time, he decided to come in and take a look. "Did I disturb you?" "Your presence brings light to our humble abode. How can I say that I'm disturbing you?" Lin Yu replied. "That's good. Since we're already in the dojo, let's not just sit here and drink tea. How about it? Take me to the drill ground." Ouyang Shuo ended the small talk and said directly. Lin Yu nodded, turned sideways, and said, "Sir, please follow me." The two of them left the reception room, passed through a long and narrow corridor, and arrived at the martial arts school's drill ground. Wang Feng, who was in the middle of instructing the apprentices in fist techniques, saw his teacher leading Sir Lord over and immediately shouted, "Everyone stop! Welcome, Sir Lord!" The apprentices withdrew their fists one after another and stood in place in an orderly manner. Ouyang Shua greeted them with a smile. Then he turned to Lin Yu and said, "Master Lin, you're really good at managing. Even I'm a bit tempted by such a lineup." Lin Yu modestly cupped his hands in obeisance. "Sir, you flatter me. I'm just teaching you some basic self-defense skills. Dojo Master Lin, you don't have to be so humble. What fist technique did you practice just now?" Ouyang Shua asked. Replying to Your Excellency, it's 8 extremities fist. Ouyang Shua was surprised. Sure enough, he hid his strength well. He said in admiration, 8 extremities fist is a very famous fist technique. Why not let everyone practice it and broaden their horizons? Lin Yu naturally wouldn't refuse. He bowed and said, "I, Lin, will show you my incompetence." After saying that, he personally walked to the front of the apprentices and began to lead them in practicing 8 extremities fist. In terms of aesthetic value, 8 extremities fist was a combination of movement and stillness. It was natural and graceful, coordinated and graceful. 8 extremities fist was a short-range fist technique, and its movements were extremely firm and fierce. In terms of fighting techniques, it emphasized on grasping inch by inch, forcefully striking and forcefully opening. It had the characteristics of withstanding, helping, squeezing, leaning, collapsing, and shaking. The force came from a heel, traveled to the waist, and passed through the fingertips, so it was extremely violent. Ouyang Shua was fascinated. For the first time, he experienced the charm of ancient martial arts. He couldn't help but feel excited. When Lin Yu and the others withdrew their fists, he was still immersed in the atmosphere and blurted out, "Good." Hearing the Lord's praise, the apprentices were extremely excited. Even Lin Yu's eldest disciple Wang Feng revealed a happy expression. Only Lin Yu was as calm as before. Seeing Ouyang Shua so excited, Lin Yu tactfully said with a smile, "If Sir wants to learn this fist technique, I can teach you a thing or two." The reason why Ouyang Shua was so excited was because he could see that the 8 extremities fist Lin Yu displayed was definitely the real thing and not a technique. This was a precious secret manual that could be used to practice in the real world. Seeing that Lin Yu took the initiative to mention it, Ouyang Shua didn't act pretentiously and said, "Okay, then I thank Master Lin for your kindness. I will definitely repay you in the future." Lin Yu nodded indifferently and led Ouyang Shua to a quiet room next to the drill ground. He said, "Sir, please wait for a moment. I will be back soon." After a while, Lin Yu returned to the quiet room with a book in his hand. He handed the book to Ouyang Shua and said, This Lin's handwritten 8 extremities fist scripture. I present it to Sir." Ouyang Shua reached out to take the book and subconsciously looked at its attributes. Name: 8 extremities fist scripture, king level technique, training techniques, hammer pressing, dragon descending, tiger crouching, mountain splitting palm, horse palm, tiger hug, bear squat, crane step moves. King of Hell's 3 points, / tiger climbing the mountain / ignoring the door / overlord breaking the reins / facing the wind, and rising sun palm / left, and right door opening / oriole double claws / standing ground piercing cannon. Unique skill: mountain leaning weapon, used with spears, knives, swords, and sticks, especially suitable for using great spears. Evaluation: 8 extremities fist scripture's movements are vigorous, simple, and powerful. It has the power to shake the sky and shake the earth with a shake of the arm, and shake the earth with a stomp of the foot. Therefore, there's a saying, martial arts have Tai Chi to calm the world. Martial arts have 8 extremities fist scripture. Unsurprisingly, Lin Yu's 8 extremities fist scripture was a genuine secret manual. Coincidentally, 8 extremities fist scripture was very compatible with spears. Not only did it not conflict with Ouyang Shua's cultivation system, it even complemented each other. Without any hesitation, Ouyang Shua pressed his right hand on the front of the scripture, and a system prompt sounded. System notification. Congratulations to player. Don't say you don't have clothes for obtaining the king-level cultivation technique. 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture. Do you wish to learn it? Learn it. With a swoosh, the scripture in his hand turned into a white light and shot into the space between Ouyang Shua's eyebrows. In an instant, all the information related to the 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture flowed into his mind, waiting for him to slowly digest it. Ouyang Shua opened his eyes, got up, and bowed to Lin Yu. He solemnly said, "Thank you, Dojo Master." He knows that he might be the first person in the dojo to learn the complete set of the 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture. Even Lin Yu's direct disciple might not have the qualifications to do so. Lin Yu leaned to the side and smiled. "I have some knowledge regarding the 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture. If you don't mind, you can listen to it." This was Ouyang Shua's way of humbling himself. Ouyang Shua was well aware that if he could obtain the personal guidance of a master of the 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture, he would be able to avoid a lot of detours. He smiled and said, "I'm all ears." Lin Yu nodded and began to explain the 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture to him. The 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture uses the head and feet as the universe, the shoulders, knees, elbows, and hips as the 4 directions, the front and back of the arms facing each other, and the dantian is in the center. Using the intent to lead the chi, using the chi to destroy the force, the 3 discs and 6 points as one inside and out. The momentum is majestic. The force from all directions flows through the body as the eyes, and the whole body as the hands. Movement is change. Change is change, and change is spirit. The 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture is famous for its fierce and violent fist wind, and at the same time, it is also famous for its forward-leaning moves. The ultimate move, mountain leaning, is an outstanding one. When practicing the mountain leaning, you have to use your body to lean against a wall, a tree, or a pile. The key point of the mountain leaning move is to approach the opponent with a distance that is like a kiss, and then use your shoulder to hit the opponent. It might seem like you use your shoulder as the point of force, but in truth, you combine the twisting force of your waist and hips. You will use your entire body's strength to lean against the opponent, and you will be able to deal great damage to the opponent and make them fall. When you open the door and attack, the 6 forces will combine into one, and the 6 forces will be fully displayed in the mountain-leaning move of the 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture. And among the martial arts in the lower body, the rubbing kick is one of the most important leg techniques in the 8 Extremities fist. The 8 Extremities, 5th Scripture emphasizes on walking as if you were walking on mud, and your feet are no higher than the knees. The rubbing kick is the embodiment of this footwork. It requires the attacking point to land below the opponent's knee joint, especially the feet. Hence, even though the rubbing kick is not as lethal as other leg techniques, the intention is to use the kick to break the opponent's center of gravity, and then use a small amount of force to ingeniously achieve the effect of knocking the opponent down. As Ouyang Shua listened to Lin Yu's explanation, the sound of the system's notification rose in his ears from time to time. System notification. Congratulations to player not wearing black for obtaining guidance from Fist Master Lin Yu. Your 8 Extremities Fist Scripture has reached rudimentary grasp. System notification. Congratulations to player not wearing black for obtaining guidance from Fist Master Lin Yu. Your 8 Extremities Fist Scripture has reached rudimentary grasp. System notification. Congratulations to player not wearing black for obtaining guidance from Fist Master Lin Yu. Your 8 Extremities Fist Scripture has reached rudimentary grasp. As he listened to the series of system notifications, Ouyang Shua was so happy that he nearly danced with joy. If he had known that there would be such astonishing benefits, he would have gone to the martial arts club a long time ago. Fortunately, it was not too late now. Once he finished listening to Lin Yu's explanation, Ouyang Shua found it hard to continue chatting, so he bade farewell and left. Lin Yu brought a few of his disciples and personally sent him to the door before he turned around. Chapter 60. By the time he left the dojo, it was already 4 in the afternoon. After passing through the plaza in front of the mansion, the construction department was already building a new office for the public order department. Ouyang Shuo went to look for Gu Sanyang when he returned to the mansion. As the chef of the mansion and the close friend of the lord's sister, Mu Qingxi, Gu Sanyang played the role of the mansion's housekeeper. Ouyang Shuo didn't put on the airs of a lord in front of Gu Sanyang. He said warmly, "Sanyang, our courtyard is getting bigger and bigger. We can't let you do all the work alone. I think it's better to hire 2 more odd job workers. At the same time, find a maid for Ying Yu and Qing Er to take care of their daily needs." Gu Sanyang smiled. "I'm still busy right now, but I'll do as you say, my lord. I'm sure there will be many people applying for the position. As for a maid, don't you need one for you? My lord, you're busy with work, and you need someone to serve you tea." Ouyang Shuo waved his hand. "I don't need one. You have to remember, the maidservants you hire must be honest and dutiful. I don't want to disturb the peace of the backyard because of such a small matter." "Understood. Even if my lord didn't say so, I would have taken care of it." Gu Sanyang nodded. "Then I'm relieved. Go to your work." Ouyang Shuo returned to his office and picked up a copy of the Guide to Governance Encyclopedia, reading it with great interest. Suddenly, a system notification broke his train of thought. System notification. Congratulations to player, not saying that has no clothes. After reading continuously, your perception has increased by 1 point. This was a pleasant surprise. Ever since he started in the level 2 village, Ouyang Shuo had read many ancient books. His hard work paid off, and he had finally increased his perception by 1 point. Remembering that he hadn't checked his stats for a long time, he decided to take a look. Name, not saying that has no clothes. Title, celebrity, increases favorability of historical characters by 10 points. Territory, Shanghai Town. Achievement, 9000/1, 800. Title, 3rd rank Earl. Profession, General, part-time. Level 27, 39466/4341. Reputation, famous far and near. 443 out of 100. Root bone, 18 comprehension, 21 fortune, 5 charm, 8 commander, 37 martial power, 10 intelligence, 10 politics, 37 talent. Locked cultivation method, 8 extremities fist. Scripture, first glimpse. Skills, intermediate gathering, elementary shipbuilding, elementary diplomacy, intermediate detection, intermediate weapon mastery, basic horsemanship, basic marksmanship, basic archery mount, black whirlwind gold. Equipment, ring of courage, black iron, bloodlust talisman, beginner composite bow, black iron, fine iron sword, silver, fine iron spear, gold, barbaric guard, gold, barbaric bracers, silver, barbaric boots, silver. Come to think of it, it was a waste of the equipment he had on him. Ever since the defensive battle in the territory, he hadn't been in a battle. He had been holed up in the territory all day, and his body was about to rot. Seeing the barbaric set, Ouyang Shuo remembered that when Qing had been promoted to master tailor, she hadn't given him the leather armor made from the boss's fur. This little girl was so heartless. She didn't know how to take the initiative to give it to him. Even if he couldn't use it, he could give it to the generals in the army. "Big brother, it's time to eat." Qing Er shouted from outside. "Speak of the devil. Qing Er, come in." The little girl skipped into the office and muttered, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Let me ask you, after I gave you the fur that the boss dropped, why didn't you give me anything back?" Ouyang Shuo glared at her. This little girl wasn't afraid of him at all. She said sneakily, Hee, big brother is so stupid. You only remember to ask for equipment now. I've been waiting for you to ask." Ouyang Shuo slapped his forehead and said helplessly, "So you didn't forget. Why didn't you give it to me? It's been almost a week." Big brother, don't forget. You haven't paid me the processing fee. How can I give you the equipment?" The little girl said confidently. This little money grubber. Why didn't he realize that Qing had such a special trait before? Didn't Big Brother give you a dark gold tailor's toolkit? What else do you want? How can that be the same? The toolkit is the reward you promised me for getting promoted to master. You can't deduct the processing fee. This little girl was quite clear-headed. It wasn't easy to trick her. Ouyang Shuo gave in to this little money grubber. Fine, fine, fine. How much processing fee do you need? I'll give it to you now. Remember to bring me the equipment tomorrow. Hee, it's not more, not less. 2 gold coins. Ouyang Shuo took out 2 gold coins and handed them to the little girl. He said dotingly, "Let's go, little money grubber. Let's go eat." The little girl giggled as she put the gold coins into her purse. She skipped after Ouyang Shuo like a little fox that had won. After eating, Ouyang Shuo returned to his bedroom in the backyard and went offline. In reality, it was already the 28th of the lunar calendar. The night after tomorrow was New Year's Eve. Ouyang Shuo thought that he should go out and buy some New Year's goods. Otherwise, it would be too late. When he returned from his run, Binger still hadn't woken up. The little girl was really tired yesterday. He wondered if he should go out and buy New Year's goods by himself today. After putting down the breakfast he bought, Ouyang Shuo walked into Binger's room. He opened the curtains. The winter sun was very warm. Under the sunlight, Binger opened her eyes in a daze. She murmured, "Big brother is bad." Binger still wants to sleep. Ouyang Shuo pinched her little face and said, "Baby, although it's winter break, you can't sleep in every day. You went to bed so early last night. If you don't wake up soon, your head will hurt." Only then did the little girl reluctantly get up. She put on her cute little slippers and went to wash up. During breakfast, Ouyang Shuo mentioned to Binger that he was going to buy New Year's goods. "Baby, you were really tired yesterday. Today, Big Brother will go buy New Year's goods by himself. Can you stay at home by yourself?" When she heard that she was going out, the little girl's eyes lit up. She shook her head like a rattle drum. Binger is not tired. Binger wants to accompany Big Brother to buy New Year's goods. Bad Big Brother can't let the cute Binger stay at home alone. He really didn't know what to do with this little monkey. He thought about what he did in his previous life. He was tormented by Qinger in the game, and then pestered by Binger in reality. These 2 younger sisters were adorable, but neither one of them was easy to deal with. Walking on the traditional New Year's goods street in Jiaozhou, there was a dazzling lineup of all kinds of New Year's goods. On both sides of the street, there were festive red lanterns and all kinds of China knots. A strong atmosphere of New Year's goods assaulted one's face. New Year's was inseparable from the word food. Food was a big part of the New Year's goods. Traditional eggs, crispy nuts, rice cakes, fried dumplings, as well as Jiaozhou people's favorite food, beef ear dumplings, smiling dates, and almond cakes were the best food to evoke people's memories of New Year's. In the shops on both sides of the street, there was an endless stream of people who came to buy New Year's goods. Compared to Ouyang Shuo's love for traditional food, Binger obviously liked sweets more. There were hundreds of kinds of sweets, such as crisp candies, fruit candies, chocolates, jellies, and lollipops. The little girl was dazzled and wanted all kinds of sweets. Fortunately, the merchants were considerate and allowed all kinds of sweets to be mixed and matched. Otherwise, it would be really hard for the little girl to choose. In addition to these finished products, Ouyang Shuo also had to prepare some dry goods for the New Year's Eve dinner. Dried oysters, dried prawns, mushrooms, squid, scallops, and other ingredients were all ingredients that he had come up with. In addition to these, he also spent a lot of money to buy a lot of high-grade dry goods, such as flour gums, fish maws, sea cucumbers, and so on. Of course, in Lingnan, how could a New Year's Eve dinner not have a trace of preserved food? In addition to traditional sausages, preserved duck kidneys, gold coin slices, duck intestines, and soy-flavored preserved meat were absolutely a must. After buying all these miscellaneous food, Ouyang Shuo's hand were already carrying 5 or 6 big and small bags. This was not the end. For the new year, of course, there were things like spring festival couplets, China knots, and zodiac dolls. Just as the brother and sister walked out of the food shop, they heard someone shouting behind them. Ouyang Shuo turned around and saw 2 girls waving at him from not far away. When he looked carefully, it turned out to be his middle school classmates, Tan Xiaoli and Meng Fei. Girls really changed 18 times between womanhood and womanhood. The little girl from middle school had already grown into a slender and elegant woman. If it wasn't for Ouyang Shuo's amazing memory, he really wouldn't have been able to recognize them. Ouyang Shuo held Binger's hand and walked forward to greet the two. Tan Xiaoli was a slightly plump girl with a cheerful personality. Meng Feifei was petite and exquisite and had a shy personality. She was a little shy and couldn't let go. "Hey, old classmate, after so many years, you're still as handsome as ever," Tan Xiaoli said with a smile. Ouyang Shuo was no longer a virgin like he was in middle school. At that time, he would blush when talking to girls. "Don't say that. I'm still the same." On the other hand, the two beauties are becoming more and more beautiful. Tan Xiaoli's eyes lit up. "Hey, the little girl from back then has become a smooth talker. She even dares to tease big sister." Glancing at Binger beside her, she hesitantly asked, "This cute little girl, she can't be your daughter, right?" Ouyang Shuo coughed. "What are you talking about? This is my little sister, Ouyang Bing." This couldn't be completely blamed on her. After all, when Binger was born, he was already in the 3rd year of middle school. Most of his middle school classmates didn't know that he had a little sister. Thanks to the advancement of modern medicine, women can freely choose their childbearing age. It was very common for families to have a second child at the age of 34. All right, this class reunion has been confirmed to be on the 4th day of the 1st month. Will you go? Tan Xiaoli asked. "I should go. I haven't seen you for a long time. It's not bad to get together." "That's good. This street is not a good place to chat. Let's meet at the reunion." Tan Xiaoli was a straightforward person. She pulled Meng Feifei and prepared to leave. Ouyang Shuo naturally couldn't ask for more. He still hadn't finished buying his New Year's goods. After saying goodbye to the two, the brother and sister continued their shopping trip. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.